After my CEO wife went bankrupt, everyone thought I'd take the money and run. After all, I'm handsome, but all I care about is money. Every day, I used my CEO wife's money to eat, drink, and have fun. But I wanted to help my CEO wife get back on her feet. Then, if she let even a little money slip through her fingers, I'd be set for life. But who would have thought my CEO wife's bankruptcy was all an act? By the time I woke up in this novel, it was already at the end. The beautiful CEO was the villain the heroine had already defeated. I still remembered the last passage about her. The only thing Vivian had left was the husband lying in the bedroom, and her expensive watches and clothes. But Vivian knew it herself. That man who only ever asked her for money and always ignored her would soon leave her with her watches and clothes. In the end, she would have nothing. I rubbed my temples. Thinking about my bankrupt CEO wife, I let out a quiet sigh. Vivian had always treated me well since we got married. Now, I felt a little ashamed to take the money and run while Vivian was at her lowest. At the very least, I should wait until she has an income or a career again. After taking some time to sort out my thoughts, I got up and started cleaning the messy apartment. It took a full 3 hours before I managed to cram everything into a corner of my room. By then, everything had been piled into the room. There were over 100 watches and more than 80 outfits. At that moment, I really wished I could trade the clothes for watches. After all, watches were easier to sell than clothes. When I woke up, it was 2 in the afternoon. My stomach growling, I rummaged through the wallet on the coffee table. Sure enough, I found some money. I didn't even bother going in. We had just moved in 2 days ago. Neither of us could cook, so there was bound to be nothing in the kitchen. I'd have to find something to eat myself. Luckily, Vivian's rental was small, but the neighborhood was nice. There were plenty of restaurants right downstairs. I wandered downstairs and had a bowl of noodles. Thinking about the few supplies I'd seen in the bathroom, I stopped by the supermarket and came back with a bag of everyday necessities. I bought Vivian's things too. I chose the colors and styles based on what I remembered she liked. Then I started cleaning the apartment again. I turned the doorknob and went into Vivian's room. Other than the bookshelf and desk, which had a few more things on them, there was only a bed and a few necessities. I sighed helplessly. I felt sorry for this woman who'd been spoiled since childhood. For her to be able to put up with a life like this now. I looked around and started tidying up. Time passed minute by minute. By the time I finished cleaning the whole place, it was already 10 p.m. After washing up, I put my late-night snack on the coffee table and got ready to eat. Just as I opened the package and was about to take my first bite, I heard the front door open. I looked up and met a pair of eyes as clear as autumn water. The woman at the door looked at me without expression. As she looked away, her gaze casually swept across the room, and a flicker of surprise flashed in her eyes. Then her gaze returned to me. At the same time, I sized her up too. She was an incredibly beautiful woman. No wonder the author had used every flattering word to describe her. Feeling Vivian's gaze on me, I unconsciously tightened my grip on my chopsticks. I couldn't help feeling nervous. After all, I was an imposter. Could someone like Vivian really not notice that something was off about her husband? Her eyes made me feel like nothing could be hidden from her. Did you hire a cleaning service? Do you still have enough money? Her tone was calm, with a hint of scrutiny. I instinctively shook my head. No, I cleaned it myself. You cleaned it? Yes, I cleaned it myself. Vivian stared at me, her face full of surprise. After a moment of eye contact, Vivian looked away first. Do you still have enough money? I do. What about you? I asked out of habit, then immediately regretted it. My question made Vivian look at me in surprise again, before she slowly spoke. After that, we both fell silent. Vivian looked at the food I was eating on the table. Then she suddenly said, "I'm sorry." At first, I didn't understand. I followed her gaze, then quickly shook my head. No, you have nothing to apologize for. Vivian walked over and sat on the sofa across from me. She chose her words carefully. The property issues have basically been settled. All the assets under our names have been taken away. There isn't much left, but at least we're not in debt. You don't need to worry about any debts. I still have 30,000 left. Once everything is settled, I'll start making money as soon as I can. You should still have 60,000 in your account. I've already paid 6 months' rent for this place. If you want a divorce, I'll give you another 20,000. You can stay here until you find a place to rent. I knew Vivian had already done more than enough for me. They only had 90,000 in assets altogether. If we got divorced, she was even willing to give me 80,000 of it and let me continue living here. She definitely wouldn't want the watch or the clothes either. That would leave her with only one apartment and 10,000. When I didn't say anything, Vivian added, "From now on, I'll set aside part of what I make each month for you. At least 3,000 a month, okay? I don't know what things will be like in the future yet, so that's all I can promise for now." If I ever get a chance to get back on my feet, I'll make it up to you. I quickly shook my head and refused. Seeing me shake my head, Vivian fell silent. I realized my gesture might have caused a misunderstanding, so I quickly explained. No, I don't want a divorce. And I don't need you to give me any money. Don't worry, I still have enough to get by. I've accepted reality. I'll spend more carefully from now on. And I'll make my own money too. You don't need to put so much pressure on yourself. Regular families don't actually spend that much each month. You don't want a divorce? But didn't you say yesterday? Only then did I remember. Yesterday, I really had angrily called Vivian useless and said I wanted a divorce. My expression froze. Well, I was drunk then. I didn't mean it. I've thought it through. I can't divorce you at a time like this. Now that we're married, I'll take responsibility for our life together from now on. Don't worry about me. I can support myself just fine. Maybe I can even support you. The moment I said that, Vivian looked at me even more strangely. But she didn't say anything else. If you don't want a divorce, then forget it. Just let me know whenever you want a divorce. Vivian got up and went to the bathroom to wash up. I awkwardly lowered my head and kept eating. After Vivian went into the bathroom, I heard her footsteps stop for a few seconds. She must have noticed how completely different the place looked after I'd cleaned it up. Then I heard the sound of running water. By the time I finished eating, Vivian had finished washing up and come out. It wasn't as awkward as I'd imagined. Thank you. You should get to bed early too. I scratched my head, feeling like I was in a dream. I sorted through my thoughts again, then went to wash up too. Then I went back to my room and opened my laptop. I applied online to open a personal shop on a secondhand marketplace. Only then did I shut down my computer and go to bed. Next morning, I woke up at 6:30 as usual. I sorted through the ingredients I bought yesterday. After putting the congee on to cook, I went downstairs to buy steamed buns and fried dough sticks. When I got back, Vivian was just coming out of her room. She heard the door open. When she looked up and saw the breakfast in my hands, she rubbed her eyes without thinking. She probably thought she was seeing things. Good morning. I bought breakfast and made some congee. Go get washed up. With that, I went to the kitchen to check on the congee. I ignored Vivian's surprised look behind me. Since we'd both stayed up late, I was worried she might be worn out. So I made red date and red bean congee especially for her. The congee was just about done by then. I ladled out 2 bowls. Then I put the steamed buns and fried dough sticks on a plate. I also boiled some eggs and prepared a few side dishes. When Vivian came out of the bathroom, she saw a breakfast spread that was modest but fairly substantial. The scene was clearly warm and homey, but Vivian didn't feel that way at all. She knew her husband too well. In over 3 years of marriage, he had never cooked or done any housework. The only thing he knew how to do was shop. The background check from before they got married hadn't said he could do any of this either. Vivian was full of doubts. Had he been pretending all along? Before, there had been maids and housekeepers, so he never had to lift a finger. Now there were only the 2 of us. And we didn't have much money, so we couldn't keep eating out. My cooking isn't great, but it's edible. If you don't mind, you can come home for dinner from now on. So when Grandpa asked if you could cook, you lied to him? After saying that, Vivian scooped up a spoonful of congee and put it in her mouth. I paused for a moment, then laughed it off. My cooking is nothing compared to a housekeeper's. I figured Grandpa was used to gourmet food, so I was too embarrassed to let him try mine. That explanation barely made sense. Vivian nodded. Actually, it tastes pretty good. I watched her continue eating as elegantly as ever. Then I realized that for a woman who had been used to the finest food since childhood and the most carefully prepared dishes, eating such a simple meal really was asking a lot of her. After dinner, Vivian wanted to help carry the dishes into the kitchen. I quickly stopped her. It's okay, I'll take care of it. I'll do the dishes. Go take care of whatever you need to do. I still have some business to take care of. I probably won't be back until tonight. Don't worry about me. Call me if you need anything. Once Vivian left, I finally felt at ease. I thought, even down on her luck, this woman couldn't hide her air of nobility. That subtle, invisible pressure she gave off was still there too. If I hadn't seen my share of things before, I might not have been able to handle it this time. I had a lot to do today too. Not only did I need to buy things for the house, I also had to photograph those watches and clothes and list them for sale online. I figured all that stuff could probably sell for more than $1 million. Then Vivian would have startup money for whatever she wanted to do. Besides that, I needed to look into this world's online fiction scene and consider getting back into my old line of work. In my original world, I was an online novelist. I majored in interior design in college. After graduation, I didn't want to make it my main career, so I started writing instead. I occasionally took freelance jobs to earn extra money. I'd always lived pretty comfortably. After washing the dishes, I headed out with my shopping list. I've never been much of a shopper. After buying what I needed and putting it away, I photographed the watches and clothes. I kept busy until evening and was completely exhausted. I'd only just finished photographing the watches. I reheated the buns from this morning, took a few bites, then headed straight to my room to read online novels. I couldn't handle any more physical work today, so mental work would have to do. 2 hours later, I happily clapped my hands. Then I picked up the coffee on the table and drank it in one gulp. I realized that this world's online fiction was a little behind that of my original world. I could rewrite everything I'd written before here, only better. It was practically a gift from heaven. Just then, I heard the front door open. After hesitating for a moment, I jumped out of bed and ran out in my slippers. I couldn't help it. This morning, I discovered that the front door hadn't been locked last night. Vivian was probably so used to living in a villa that she forgot a door like this had to be locked manually. When Vivian saw me come out, she paused while hanging up her coat. "You're back." I only noticed this morning that the door hadn't been locked last night. Back when I lived in a villa, someone was in charge of security. Now, there isn't. You have to lock this kind of door at night, or a thief can easily pry it open. Got it. The two of us were basically strangers, so I had to take the initiative and make conversation. "Have you eaten yet?" "Yeah. I bought some more household supplies today. If you need anything, just let me know. I can pick it up next time." "I don't need anything right now." The conversation was dead. What else was there to say? After thinking for 3 seconds, I decided to make a quick exit. If there's nothing else, I'll go back to my room. Call me if you need anything. Vivian didn't look around the room until after I closed the door. She also took a look around the kitchen and bathroom. There were a lot more things in the house today, making it feel more lived in than before. He was actually planning to settle down here. It was like he'd become a different person. I had no idea what Vivian was doing. I was completely focused on fixing up the computer. My ex-husband worked pretty hard in high school. He got into a top university, but he basically coasted through college. His computer skills were a complete disaster too. This laptop was painfully slow. I needed to clear out everything on it. I also had to see what my ex-husband had been doing in the past. As I kept browsing, I came across the folder where he stored his photos. There were quite a few subfolders inside. Most were selfies of my ex-husband, while a few were photos of his parents. The last folder had a bunch of gibberish as its name. I opened it, and wow, it was full of photos of him with a woman. She looked like some kind of high society socialite. She was pretty, but she wasn't my type. Especially when she smiled, she looked innocent and delicate. Seeing how intimate they were made my soul tremble. I quickly checked the dates. Thank goodness, they were all from before the marriage. That scared me to death. I kept a few of the less intimate photos. Then, I quickly deleted the rest. That was when I remembered. This woman was Vanessa, his girlfriend back in college. A wealthy heiress. But they'd been broken up for so long, there was no reason to keep these things. Good thing Vivian wasn't the type to make a fuss about it. Otherwise, if she found them, they'd be a ticking time bomb. By the time I was mostly done with the computer, it was almost 11. I yawned and flopped straight onto the bed. The next morning, I got up even earlier than the day before. Instead of going out to buy food, I made fried rice myself. I also made 2 side dishes. By the time Vivian got up, I had almost finished making breakfast. After washing up, she could eat right away. Vivian looked at the hearty breakfast in front of her in surprise. "You can make fried rice too?" "Yeah, I may not know how to make a lot of dishes, but I can handle simple home cooking. It may not be delicious, but it's edible. I hope you don't mind." Vivian scooped up a spoonful and put it in her mouth. "Not bad. It tastes pretty good. I'm glad you like it. I'll come home for lunch today." I froze for a moment, then quickly caught on. "What do you want to eat?" "I'll eat whatever you make, but I'd like some rice." "Okay. How about sweet and sour ribs, scrambled eggs with tomatoes, and egg drop soup? Will that be enough to fill you up?" "It should be enough. Then go take care of your work without worrying." After breakfast, Vivian grabbed her coat and headed out. Once again, I was the one who cleaned up the dishes. After leaving the complex, Vivian got into a car parked at the entrance. Her former assistant, Claire, was driving. She was also the friend Vivian's grandfather had chosen to grow up with her. As soon as Vivian got settled in the car, Claire handed her a paper bag. "Vivian, breakfast from Schway's." "No thanks, I already had the fried rice Rainier made." Claire paused with her hand still outstretched and said in surprise, "What? Rainier can cook?" "It's my first time finding out he can cook too. He made congee yesterday. I thought that was already a first for him. When he said he could cook, I thought he was just bragging. But he actually made fried rice today. When I said I'd come home for lunch, he even said he'd make some stir-fried dishes." Hearing her act so out of character, Claire frowned. "Could he be up to something? I thought you two used to stay out of each other's way." "He couldn't do anything. By the way, didn't he say he wanted a divorce?" "I already looked up the process. Why hasn't he done anything about it?" Vivian looked up with a thoughtful smile on her face. "He said he doesn't want a divorce anymore. He said he's accepted his life as it is now. He said he'll live a good life, make money, and not let me feel so much pressure." Vivian leaned back in her seat. her tone hard to read. Huh, maybe he can't stand seeing you suffer? Maybe he wants to share the good times and bad with you? If that's the case, he's not so bad. He did nothing in college, and for the past 2 years of marriage, all he knew was how to spend money. One day he says he wants a divorce, and the next day he's changed his mind. What do you think, Vivian? They say hard times reveal who people really are. Maybe his conscience got to him. You never really know what someone is like until something happens. We've seen plenty of people show their true colors lately. Maybe Rainier is the kind of person whose character only shows when trouble comes. Maybe. Let's go. Either way, he won't affect anything. We'll just wait and see. Meanwhile, I spent the whole morning taking pictures of the clothes. There were more than 80 outfits, far more than I could wear myself. Keeping a dozen or so for appearances would be enough. I could sell the rest and buy some regular clothes. After more than 2 hours, I was only halfway done. I looked at the clock on the living room wall. It was already 10. I still needed to go out and buy groceries. So I quickly put the clothes away, threw on a coat, and headed out. After leaving the supermarket, I carried 2 big bags back toward the complex. Just after I crossed the street, I suddenly heard someone call out to me. I turned around and saw a beautiful woman dressed to the nines. Looking closer, wasn't she the woman in last night's photo? The moment she saw me turn around, she rushed over. Rainier, how did you end up like this? I looked down at my clothes, then at what I was carrying, and asked, confused, what's wrong with this? Why are you here? The woman looked at me with deep affection in her eyes. Leave Vivian and come back to me. I can give you a better life now. It breaks my heart to see you suffering. Come back to me. I'll make sure you have a good life. If it weren't for everything I remembered about this woman, I really might have been moved by the affection in her eyes. Vanessa was the second daughter of the Liu group and my ex-husband's former girlfriend. Back when she was with my ex-husband, she enjoyed all the attention he showered on her, while mocking him for trying to marry into money. Even though she was rich, she never spent a cent on him. Throughout their relationship, my ex-husband paid for everything. She called him over whenever she wanted and brushed him off just as easily, acting completely superior. It wasn't until Vivian came looking for her that she put on an act of deep affection, hoping to make my ex-husband reject Vivian. My ex-husband had truly loved her. He denied himself food and clothes just to save money for her. But this woman only wanted to toy with him. Luckily, my ex-husband was still fairly level-headed. He hadn't completely fallen into her love trap. Back then, my ex-husband had almost turned Vivian down. Luckily, by a twist of fate, he learned about Vivian's other side and finally gave up on Vanessa. And because of that, my ex-husband came to believe that money was the only thing he could rely on in life. That was what turned him into someone who only knew how to spend money. This woman was at least half to blame for my ex-husband's tragedy. And now that this awful woman had come looking for me, it definitely wasn't out of affection. I didn't know what she was plotting, but it definitely wasn't anything good. Vivian used to be someone I could only admire from afar. Now that Vivian had fallen from power, if she could lure me away so easily, she could strike another blow at Vivian. Maybe she still wants to do something to Vivian. So I shook my head. I'm not going with you. Go back where you came from. Why? Vivian is already washed up. All she'll do is make you suffer. What do you even see in her? Marriage means sharing both the good times and the hard times. I'm her husband, so of course I have to stay by her side. No matter what happens to her, I can't just abandon her. She's only going through a temporary setback. Even if she became crippled or disabled, I'd still take care of her. This has nothing to do with hardship or money. As long as she doesn't divorce me, I can't leave her. Especially now, when she needs me most. What kind of nonsense are you talking about? If I'm not mistaken, you two barely have anything to do with each other anymore, right? All she does is keep giving you money to buy things. You don't have any real feelings for her at all. Why go through hard times with her? Vanessa looked at me like I was an idiot. Who says she hasn't treated me well? Back when she had money, she gave me quite a bit every month. She didn't have time for me, but I could spend as much as I wanted. Maybe that money meant nothing to her. But nobody's money falls from the sky. If she gives, it's out of kindness. She's not obligated to. Since she gave it to me, I should be grateful to her. Now that she's fallen on hard times, even if we divorce, she still agreed to let me stay in the apartment she rents. She's even willing to give me most of the money she has left. She's already done more than enough for me. And that doesn't count as treating me well? If that doesn't, what does? There were never any feelings between us to begin with. She's already done plenty just by following her conscience. You say she's no good. Are you any better? How am I not good? If you were with me, I'd treat you very well. Before Vanessa could say anything else, I cut her off. Back in college, when I had no money, you always looked down on me. You thought I was just trying to mooch off you because you were rich. We dated for nearly 2 years, and you never spent a dime on me. Even the gifts you gave me were free promotional items. Meanwhile, I kept working part-time jobs to make money for you to spend. Then you turned around and dumped me. Is that what you call treating someone well? What are you talking about? What kind of person do you think I am? Did Vivian tell you something that made you misunderstand me? Vanessa's eyes darkened. You think too highly of yourself. Someone like Vivian would never mention you to me. She wouldn't even notice you. You're the one who keeps staring at her, trying to get her attention. As the saying goes, what kind of person you are. The world looks the way you see it. Go wherever you need to go. I don't want to say anything worse. Vanessa's expression darkened as she took a few steps closer to me. With a helpless look, she said, Rainier, Vivian must have brainwashed you. How could you think that? I really do like you. Vivian is only holding on to you because she's broke now, isn't she? You can't be this foolish. Stop, don't come any closer. In short, abandoning your wife when she's down and out is not something a decent person would do. I'm not leaving her at a time like this. Give up on that idea. Even if I leave her, it'll only be when she no longer needs me. Vanessa was about to say more when applause and cheers suddenly broke out nearby. Well said, young man. You've got your values in the right place. That's right. If everyone these days thought that way, there wouldn't be so many divorces. What a good young man. Your wife is lucky to have married you. Only then did I notice a group of older folks nearby who had clearly just finished exercising and were heading home. The older folks walked over. The older man at the front looked Vanessa up and down. He couldn't help shaking his head. Tisk, young lady, he's happily married. It's not right for you to try to steal him away. Think about it. If you were married and women kept trying to steal your husband, how would you feel? Don't do to others what you wouldn't want done to you. You're saying that just because his wife is broke, he should divorce her and leave with you. Can you guarantee that you'll never be broke someday? It was like the older folks had flipped a switch, and they all started criticizing Vanessa. They didn't even give her a chance to argue. In no time, she had become an immoral, hopelessly misguided woman. I quickly made room for them, then hid behind the crowd and tried not to laugh. She needs a lesson. You should teach her one. I need to get home and cook, so I'll be going now. We'll talk again sometime. It's fine. Go on home. Leave this to us. Not far away, Vivian and Claire had seen the whole thing. They sat in the car without moving for a long while. It wasn't until Vanessa meekly admitted she was wrong and the older folks let her go that Claire finally spoke in disbelief. Vivian, that was Rainier just now, right? Why does it feel like he's become a completely different person? Yes, it was him. Rainier is actually a good guy. Before, I only knew that he spent money recklessly, but now that you're supposedly bankrupt, but he refused to leave you. He'd rather suffer than leave your side. And it wasn't because he loves you, but because he feels it's the right thing to do. Just like those older folks said, his values are really solid. Vivian also felt that she might have misunderstood me. After saying goodbye to Claire, Vivian went straight home. As soon as she opened the door, she saw me curled up on the rug in front of the living room couch, holding my laptop, typing away furiously. The house was filled with the smell of meat. You're back. Vivian set the fruit she'd bought next to the coffee table and came over curiously. When she took a closer look, she realized I was writing a story. I've forgotten most of what I studied in college, but I still remember some of the things I learned before. And I've always read novels, so I know a little about this. I thought I'd try writing online novels. You don't mind, do you? I asked without stopping what I was doing. Vivian thought it made sense for me. She wasn't expecting me to make money anyway, so she didn't object. As long as you're happy. I knew this rich young lady probably looked down on this kind of thing, and probably didn't know much about it either. So I changed the subject. The ribs are already simmering. Dinner probably won't be ready for another hour. Go take care of whatever you need to do. Vivian nodded. After washing up and changing clothes, she went into her room and didn't come back out. An hour later, I knocked on her door and called her out for dinner. 2 bowls of rice were on the table. There was quite a spread, colorful and beautifully arranged. I'd even added garnishes. It was clear everything had been carefully prepared. It's my first time making sweet and sour ribs, so I don't know if they're any good. Give them a try. If they're not good, I'll make a smashed cucumber salad later. Ever since my parents' accident after I graduated from college, I've lived alone. Thanks to my parents' influence, my standards for quality of life aren't especially high, but they're definitely not low either. I keep the house clean and cook for myself whenever I have time. I live a regular life, so I have all the basic life skills covered. I was just being modest. I wouldn't say I'm that great, but my home cooking is pretty good. I always did the cooking when friends got together, and I got plenty of compliments. Vivian picked up a piece, put it in her mouth, and nodded. Not bad. It's really good. That's good to hear. Then have some more. The past few days have been a mess. You haven't eaten or rested well. You've had it rough. I poured her a cup of lemon tea and slid it in front of her. This is lemon tea with a little honey. It'll give you some vitamin C. Drink as much as you can. Don't worry if it's a little sour. Vivian looked curious. She couldn't shake the feeling that the man in front of her was a completely different person. Nothing about him matched the information she'd found before, or the past 2 years they'd spent together. But she really hadn't paid that much attention to him. She couldn't say the information she'd found before was complete, so she could only put her doubts aside. You've been through a lot. Not at all. I stay home all day, sheltered from the wind and rain. You're the one dealing with so much outside. You must have it much harder. Eat some more. I smiled. Just thinking about it, I already knew that Vivian used to be someone no one could measure up to. When old Master Bai was still alive, who would dare go against the Bai family? And Vivian had always been the most outstanding one since she was young. So many people grew up being compared to her by their parents and criticized for not measuring up. Now that old Master Bai was gone, the rest of the Bai family only thought about dividing up the family assets. Everyone else couldn't wait for Vivian to fall apart. No one would lend her a hand. They'd rather kick Vivian while she was down and watch someone they once could only look up to be trampled under their feet. Even before I transmigrated, when I was reading the novel, I never understood why Vivian kept refusing help from her close friends. If she'd accepted their help, she never would have fallen this far. Unfortunately, we weren't that close now, so I didn't feel right asking. Since Vivian had once been the Bai family's heiress, I figured she probably had her reasons. I didn't know how Vivian felt about the meal, but I was completely satisfied. I figured she didn't hate my cooking either, since she'd had 2 bowls. I'll leave these in the kitchen. You don't need to do anything with them. I'll wash them when I wake up this afternoon. I tossed the dishes into the kitchen sink, washed some fruit, and set it on the coffee table. Then I curled back up and kept typing up something I'd written before. Naturally, I worked very quickly. Besides, I'd long since honed my typing speed. By late morning, I'd already finished a 2,000-word outline. At this pace, I could probably finish 20,000 words tomorrow and submit it. Vivian and I were in a difficult situation right now. We desperately needed money. I didn't understand business, so all I could do was earn more money and ease Vivian's burden. Vivian went back to her room. After she shut the door, I had no idea what she was doing in there. As it got close to 1:30 p.m., I forced myself to shut my laptop and go take a nap. The living room suddenly fell silent. Vivian hesitated in her bedroom. Then she replied to Claire on her phone. Forget it. I'll see how things go with him. You don't need to look into it for now. Maybe I'm overthinking it. Let's wait and see. Less than an hour later, my alarm went off. I climbed out of bed, feeling a little dizzy. I made my way to the bathroom and found the door was shut. Silently scolding myself, I reached for the handle. I yanked the door open and was about to step inside. I looked up and locked eyes with the person inside. Sorry, I was half asleep. I thought I was the only one here. After saying that, I ran back to my room, red-faced, and shut the door. I wanted to slap myself. That was so embarrassing. It took me a while to compose myself before I opened my door and went out. Vivian happened to be coming out of the bathroom, and we locked eyes again. Even though we were 4 or 5 meters apart. It's fine. Don't be so embarrassed. This apartment is small. We'll keep running into each other. You'll get used to it. Right. I'll get used to it. You're not going out today? I've already taken care of everything I needed to do today, so I'm staying in this afternoon. Then Vivian suddenly remembered something. I haven't been home these past few days. Is there anything you need help with? I felt a little uneasy. What is it? Is something wrong? I may have grown up in the Bai family, but it's not like I don't know basic life skills. Now that we're living together in this little home, you can tell me directly if you need anything. No, I just wanted to make sure you knew. Vivian looked so serious that I actually found her kind of cute. Whether she succeeded or failed in business, there was no denying how gorgeous she was. As the most beautiful woman in the author's story, she was stunning even with no expression on her face. The fact that I could face a woman like that without falling for her was honestly pretty impressive. Vivian gave me a meaningful look before returning to her room. Then I suddenly realized something. I got up and ran to her door. What do you want for dinner tonight? Anything is fine. I'm not picky, okay? The young lady was easier to please than I'd imagined. I headed back over. I kept writing at the coffee table. As soon as I finished a chapter, I suddenly remembered the items I'd listed on the secondhand marketplace. I quickly opened the app to check. Holy crap! 12 watches and 2 sets of clothes had already sold. I didn't really know the value of those luxury goods. So before I listed them, I checked the prices online first, then listed them at 20% off. A lot of the items I listed were still unopened. But I was worried Vivian might need money someday, so I didn't price them too high. I was worried no one would be willing to buy things this expensive. I didn't expect them to sell so fast. After writing down all the shipping addresses, I saved the file and ran into the room to find the watches and clothes. Since there was so much to ship, I arranged for a courier to pick it up. Half an hour later, everything was packed up. The courier arrived too. Vivian must have heard the commotion because she came out of her room. What are you doing? I have too many watches and clothes. I don't go out much these days, and they're taking up too much space. So I picked some out and sold them. These sold today, so I need to ship them to the buyers soon. No, we're not at the point where you need to sell your things. It's really just that they take up too much space. Besides, they're not the latest models anymore. I won't use them if I keep them, so I might as well sell them for cash. That way, if I see something new I like later, I can still buy it. That should be enough to let the young lady save face, right? I thought I was being pretty considerate, but I didn't know which words had struck a nerve with her. Vivian's hand trembled as she held mine, then she let go. She didn't try to stop me again. I said, okay, I'll buy new ones later. As if I could afford new ones. One watch cost tens of thousands, enough to cover half a year's living expenses for me. If I bought a few watches, I'd be broke. That was what I thought, but I didn't let it show. Rich young ladies care about saving face, after all. I smiled. Then you can buy me new watches later. Vivian was momentarily taken aback by the familiar smile on my face. One that had felt so unfamiliar lately. She lowered her head slightly and saw the packed boxes on the floor. She bent down, picked them up, and helped the courier put them into his large bag. It wasn't until the courier left with the packages that Vivian asked me, "How much are you planning to sell?" There were originally over 100 watches and more than 80 outfits. More than 70 of the watches were still unopened, and I planned to sell them all. Of the remaining 50 or so, I'll sell over 40. Keeping 10 watches should be enough for me. As for the clothes, I'll keep around 30 outfits and sell the rest. I thought Vivian was going to stop me, but Vivian just nodded and didn't say anything else. She casually picked up an apple, sat on the couch, and started peeling it. I couldn't quite figure out what she was thinking. I also didn't know whether this had hurt her pride. But making a living was more important than all those messy thoughts. Even if she did mind, there was nothing I could do about it. I checked this morning. Home prices in this city have only gone up to 10,000. I had no idea what Vivian was planning or whether she could really make a comeback. But no matter what, I had to find a way to buy a home first. Once I sold the watches and clothes, I'd have enough for a down payment. Then I'd give Vivian the rest of the money and slowly pay off the mortgage myself. That way, even if Miss Vivian can't make a comeback someday, we'll still have a place to live. My thoughts were all over the place. I sat by the coffee table, staring at the computer screen without moving for a moment. Then a peeled apple suddenly appeared in front of me. The apple smelled wonderful, and it had been peeled smoothly and evenly. I couldn't help swallowing. I realized Vivian was holding the peeled apple out to me. "Is this for me?" Vivian held the apple out closer. "You've had it rough." I was truly flattered. In the original novel, Vivian never got close to men. She didn't have much patience with men, either. And now she was actually peeling an apple for me. She was even smiling so beautifully. It was unbelievable. I quickly took the apple and said, "It's nothing. We bought it with your money anyway. I'm already grateful that you never held it against me for wasting money before." Vivian actually smiled. She usually had a cold look on her face. She wasn't exactly icy, but she wasn't easy to approach either. But when she suddenly smiled, I was completely stunned. How could there be such a stunningly beautiful woman in this world? "Don't worry, I'll definitely buy you more watches in the future." I nodded without thinking, then came to my senses and felt a little embarrassed. "I believe you'll definitely make a comeback. Don't rush. I'll wait for you to buy me watches when the time comes. Keep it up, you can do it." With a faint smile, Vivian got up and went back to her room. Out of my sight, a hint of amusement flashed in her eyes. After writing all afternoon, I finally got more than 10,000 words done. The two of us had a simple dinner, then went back to doing our own things. I stayed up until midnight and got 20,000 words done. Next morning, Vivian went out after breakfast. I started working on submitting my manuscript. I checked the second-hand marketplace and sold another 8 watches and 1 outfit. It felt like piles of money were constantly pouring into my wallet. I was in a great mood. Just as I finished organizing my manuscript and submitted it, I heard someone knock at the door. "Who is it?" I stood up and got ready to answer the door. I heard a man's voice outside the door. "It's me, Julian." Who was Julian? As I went to open the door, I tried to remember. But no matter how hard I thought, I couldn't remember anyone by that name. When I opened the door, there was only one man outside, with that roguishly handsome look. The moment he saw me, he looked me over from head to toe, making me really uncomfortable. "Aren't you going to invite me in?" "Mind if I come in and sit down?" Julian said as he started to walk inside. I had no idea who this guy was, so I quickly blocked his way. "Who are you looking for?" "If you're Rainier, then you're who I'm here to see." He slipped past me and squeezed into the house. "Vivian isn't here right now, is she?" he asked, already inside. I couldn't exactly throw him out now, so I had no choice but to close the door. I poured him a cup of tea and set it in front of him. "She's not here. She went out early this morning." "What do you want with me?" "Of course I have a reason. To be honest, You may be pretty good looking, but you have neither family connections nor ability. Vivian is really getting the short end of the stick by marrying you. I know Grandpa Bai wanted to repay a favor, so he had you marry Vivian. But after being married to her all these years, you haven't been able to help her career. All you do is shop and have fun all day. Aren't you ashamed of yourself? May I ask what your relationship with Vivian is? Vivian and I grew up together as childhood sweethearts. She's always been especially good to me. If it weren't for you, we might have gotten together a long time ago. But I've never heard her mention you. Isn't that obvious? Do you think Vivian would tell you that we were childhood sweethearts? It seemed Vivian really wouldn't mention it to her ex-husband. First, they weren't close. Second, she wouldn't go out of her way to bring it up. I nodded. So what exactly did you come here for? Vivian needs help right now. How can you keep holding her back? My father has already agreed that as long as we get married, he'll help Vivian get back on her feet. So you should divorce her. If Vivian wants to divorce me, she can come tell me herself. Why send you to pass along the message? I'm not the kind of person who hangs on desperately. Or is this really just what you want? Vivian would never do something so low class. Of course she's too embarrassed to say it herself. You need to be the one to take the initiative. You've spent so much of her money, and you haven't done much to help her all these years. She's never made things difficult for you. Now that she's in trouble, you can't do much to help her. Shouldn't you at least stop being a burden to her? You should take the initiative and divorce her, and she can go along with it. That way, everyone saves face. Is that what Vivian wants? It's what I want. Why don't you understand? Vivian isn't the kind of person who would do something like this. What she needs now is for us to help her. You need to divorce her first so I can marry her. Then she can accept my father's help. If this is what Vivian wants, I have no problem filing for divorce. But since you say this is what you want, let me ask you something. Were you and Vivian a couple before she and I got married? Does she love you? Julian froze in the middle of taking a sip. That's not important. She's not good at expressing herself. Besides, she doesn't even like you. I can help her, but you're nothing but a burden to her. I'm 100 times better for her than you are. You're wrong. Maybe I don't know Vivian that well either. But I'm sure she'd never willingly accept your father's help. Especially if that help comes at the cost of marrying you. You think convincing your father to help her is what's best for her? But you never considered this. If she relies on your father to make a comeback, how could she ever face the world afterward? She'll never escape the label of having made it through a marriage alliance. I may not know Vivian very well, but I believe the villain from the original novel would never be willing to live off someone else. In fact, if she hadn't refused to bow her head, she wouldn't have gone through so many hardships. How could someone like her accept using her own marriage as a bargaining chip to make a comeback? At least not anytime soon. I don't mind divorcing Vivian either, but I won't let someone else pressure me into it. I've made my position clear. What Vivian wants is up to her. I'll respect her choice no matter what. Julian blew up as if someone had stepped on his tail. You just want to keep her tied to you so you don't have to divorce her, don't you? How can you be so selfish? Vivian has already done more than enough for you. Now that she finally has a chance to make a comeback, you're trying to destroy it yourself. You're disgusting. Mr. Julian, I've been polite enough to you already. You suddenly showed up today and started saying all this inappropriate nonsense. Anyone who didn't know better would think you were eager to wreck someone else's marriage. Since when does an outsider get to interfere in Vivian's and my marriage? Even if you're trying to help Vivian, you shouldn't have come to me and said these things. If you want to help her, go talk to her. I can't make decisions for her. It's not like I'm going to keep chasing after her. If you think about why we haven't gotten divorced for even a second, if she really loved you, then before Grandpa Bai came to find me, why didn't the two of you get married? If you say your feelings weren't strong enough, then why weren't you even a couple? You keep saying she's not the kind of person who breaks her promises. But what you're doing is clearly forcing her to break one. Besides, you haven't considered the practical issues at all. What gives you the right to say that? You're just a pretty boy who can't do anything but spend money. What gives you the right to say that? What gives me the right? The fact that I'm still her husband in name. As long as I'm still her husband, I have every right to call out anyone trying to come between us. Yes, I used to do nothing but spend money shopping, and I never helped her with anything. But she agreed to let me buy things, and she never minded. Why are you in such a hurry? If you want to marry her, go tell her. As long as the two of you come to an agreement, I'll divorce her without another word. But you're here talking to me about it. I'm not going to agree. You have no shame. Julian angrily slammed his cup down on the table. No longer angry, I calmly toyed with my cup. You're the one trying to destroy someone else's marriage, yet you don't think you should be ashamed. What makes you think you can call me shameless? Since you think I'm shameless, I guess we have nothing more to say to each other. When it comes down to it, you just don't want a divorce. Fine, let's say I don't. After getting a definite answer, and knowing he couldn't get what he wanted today, Julian stood up and stormed out. Before leaving, he turned back and threw one last remark at me. Just wait. Vivian will dump you sooner or later. The front door closed again. I let out a quiet sigh. It's one thing for the heroine to be so likable, but even the villain is this lovable. If my conscience would allow it, I'd actually want a divorce. But it's just a thought. I could never go through with it. I'm living in someone else's body while spending her money like it's my own. Though I'm not really the one spending it. But legally, it's all my money now, isn't it? Putting that aside, I opened the webpage and wrote down the links and styles. Then I went to my room and dug through the watches I could sell. Once I had everything sorted out, I called the courier. I needed to ship out the things I sold today as early as possible, too. The items I've sold add up to over 2 million. Once the buyers receive their orders, a large sum will show up in my bank account. If I sell a few more things, I can buy a small apartment and put down a down payment. Then I'll be a homeowner. Just thinking about it filled me with motivation. Not wanting to keep writing for the moment, I opened a webpage and started looking at homes for sale in the city. I needed to choose my first home carefully. After looking for a while, it was almost noon. I didn't even have time to close the webpage before rushing off to cook. The young mistress told me this morning before she left that she'd be coming home for lunch. I got so caught up imagining my wonderful future that I forgot to check the time. I was planning to make wontons for lunch. I'd already mixed the filling that morning, and I'd bought the wonton wrappers yesterday. So my hands moved with practiced ease, like they were following a rhythm. I wrapped one every few seconds, and before long, I had made over 20. While I was wrapping them, the young mistress came home. Focused on wrapping, I didn't even look up. You're back. Yeah. What are you making? Vivian stood in the doorway. She could see my hands moving quickly, but not what I was actually making. She asked without thinking. Wontons. We're having wontons for lunch today. Then I'll make some flatbread, so we won't have to worry about not having enough to eat. I said it as naturally as could be. Making flatbread and wrapping wontons weren't things someone who could only make simple home-cooked meals could pull off. Vivian's suspicions surfaced again. But the next moment, when she saw me sitting there quietly, skillfully wrapping wontons, she felt there was nothing worth dwelling on. Come to think of it, I haven't had wontons in a long time. Vivian blurted it out, then found herself feeling strange about it. She closed her mouth again, as if trying to hide something, then went into the bathroom to wash her hands. I didn't notice anything strange about her at all. I like wontons too. Thinking back over the past few months, Vivian had been swamped with business. How could she have had the time to care about what she ate? Besides, wontons were just a snack. It was normal that she hadn't had them in so long. Do you want me to make extra? If you do, I'll cook a little more later. I'll wrap up the rest and freeze them. That way, if we don't feel like cooking someday, we can just take them out and boil them. Then make a little extra, Vivian said as she came out after washing her hands. She hadn't had snacks in a very long time. The last time she'd had any was 3 or 4 years ago. If I hadn't suddenly brought it up, she might not have even realized how long it had been since she'd relaxed. Okay, then I'll cook a little extra later, I said, without stopping what I was doing. To me, life was full of hope and little joys. People make the life they live. Getting a second chance at life was already a blessing. Everything life gave us should be cherished. Being able to sit here making wontons and eating them was happiness. Nearly an hour later, 2 steaming bowls of wontons were on the table. I called Vivian out. I was already seated. I tilted my head and nodded, motioning for Vivian to sit down. I had an expectant smile on my face. Go ahead and try them. I think my wontons turned out pretty well. I just don't know how much you usually eat. I don't know how much you usually eat. Wontons alone aren't very filling, so I made some wraps too. By the way, do you eat wraps? Vivian found that a little amusing, but she didn't show it. Of course, I'm a normal person too. After saying that, she sat down, tried one, savored it, and gave her verdict. It was pretty good. See? I told you my wontons were good. Mostly because I like eating them myself. Since they're good, have some more. The two of us ate at different speeds. Although Vivian ate only about half as much as I did, she finished at almost the same time I did. This time, just as I was about to wash the dishes, she suddenly spoke up. I'll buy a dishwasher later. It's only a few dishes anyway. It won't take much effort. There's no need to spend extra money. It's not expensive. It's fine, Vivian said casually. A conflicted look instantly crossed my face. What's wrong? Has the young lady still not changed her attitude? Doesn't she realize we're no longer as rich as we used to be? I was debating whether to remind her bluntly, but then I saw her slightly furrowed brow. The words I'd meant to say came out completely differently. Fine, I'll buy one later. You don't need to worry about me. I'm pretty picky, so I might take a long time choosing. As soon as I finished speaking, I sighed to myself. Good-looking people really do have it easier. I couldn't even bring myself to say anything that might hurt the young lady's pride. Anyway, I'd already said I was picky, so it made sense that I'd spend forever looking and still not find one I liked. Vivian watched me struggle with my thoughts. Then she suddenly understood what her husband was torn over. A strange feeling suddenly came over her. Although her grandfather had made her go through the hardships of having no money, after she completed her trial at 15, she had never experienced being broke again. This time, it wasn't that she had no money. It was that her husband in name thought she had no money. But even so, he never mentioned being broke in front of her. It was a strange feeling, and even she couldn't explain exactly how she felt about it. I have some things to take care of, so I'm going back to my room. With that, Vivian turned and went back to her room, leaving me to keep washing the dishes alone. I hummed while washing the dishes. Life was pretty good. I had a place to live and food to eat. The watches and clothes were selling well too. Soon, I'd have a place of my own. Things would definitely keep getting better from here on out. The young lady was capable. It was only a matter of time before she got back on her feet. Maybe she'd even give me some money to spend then. She might even give me some spending money. Even if she never got back on her feet, it would be fine. I could support the family myself. For now, with her around as someone I could barely call a friend, I wouldn't have to worry about anything unexpected happening. Even if no one looked after her, she definitely wouldn't go without work for the rest of her life. Then, we could live an ordinary life. If she wanted a divorce, I'd agree. Then, slowly find someone who suited me. It would be nice if we could both be okay. After washing the dishes, I wrote for a while and got ready for a nap. Just then, Vivian suddenly opened her door and came out. Did Julian give you a hard time today? Not exactly. He told me to take the initiative and divorce you, but I refused. I thought there was nothing between you and him. If you like him, we can get divorced anytime. He also said his father could help you, as long as you two got married. There's really nothing between Julian and me, and I won't divorce you because of him. You handled it well. As for everything else, we'll talk about it later. For now, I don't need anyone else's help. Besides, those aren't things his father can solve. I understand. I got up too, planning to go back to my room for a nap. Vivian suddenly spoke, looking at me curiously. Do you have anything else to say? Since when do you take naps? I froze. I gave a slightly guilty explanation. I just suddenly realized my old routine wasn't very healthy. I wasn't in very good shape, so I'm making myself change. You could try taking a nap at noon, too. You'll have more energy in the afternoon. You'll get more done. Then get some rest. Vivian got up and went back to her room, leaving me standing there uneasily, wondering if I'd said something wrong. After going through something as major as her family's bankruptcy, wasn't she allowed to change a little? Back in her room, Vivian sat down at her desk with a blank expression. She fell into deep thought. After a while, she still couldn't seem to make up her mind. Instead, she picked up her phone and made a call. Buy a dishwasher and have it delivered to my place in the next few days. There are still some things I need to look into. Until then, let's keep things the way they are. After the call, Vivian put her phone on the desk. Her eyes drifted to the bed beside her, and she recalled what I'd just said. Are naps really that good? Before she knew it, she'd already lain down on the bed. Her whole body relaxed. It actually felt pretty nice. She'd spent the past few years busy with all kinds of things. It had been a long time since she'd gotten a good, restful sleep. Before she knew it, it was already 2:30 in the afternoon. I came out of my room and gave a big stretch. Then I went to the bathroom and splashed some water on my face. As I stepped out of the bathroom, I saw Vivian coming out of her room. Her eyes still looked a little unfocused. Oh my god, is this what the heiress looks like when she wakes up? She's way too gorgeous. And she's actually a villain. The author must have put a lot of effort into creating this villain. But she was given such a tragic ending. What a shame. Lost in thought, I didn't notice my expression. A hint of pity showed on my face, and Vivian saw it. That sympathetic look seemed to sting Vivian. She immediately looked away. Do you need to use the bathroom? No, I'm already done. Go ahead. I quickly stepped aside and waited for Vivian to go in. Then I shrugged and sat back down at my computer, ready to start writing. The moment I opened QQ, I saw a friend request. The note said it was an editor from a literary website. Hearing the noise outside, Vivian came out right after washing her hands. What's wrong? My novel passed the initial review. Once it passes the second and final reviews, I can start making money, right? Well, congratulations. Congratulations to you too. After saying that, I ignored Vivian and lost myself in my novel. I lowered my head and kept typing. Seeing me busy at my computer, Vivian went back to the bathroom. That afternoon, I arranged for a courier to pick up the packages. The courier was a young woman. Mr. Rainier, do you run an online store? These watches all look pretty nice. If you don't mind, could you sell me one at a discount? I want to give one to my boyfriend as a gift. I froze for a moment and quickly waved my hands. Sorry, I don't run an online store. I'm just shipping these for a friend. Her watches seem pretty expensive. They all cost over $10,000. I can't make that decision when that much money is involved. If you're interested, I can ask her for you. Over 10,000? Oh my god. Are these luxury watches? I don't really know. Maybe. Anyway, they're all pretty expensive. As I was speaking, the elevator doors beside us suddenly opened. Vivian stepped out of the elevator. She had heard everything I said. What's going on? Nothing. The courier wants to buy a watch, but they aren't mine. I thought I could ask my friend if she'd be willing to give her a discount. No, absolutely not. If they're luxury watches, then forget it. I'm just an ordinary person. I wouldn't normally wear such an expensive watch. Is this everything that needs to be shipped? If that's all, I'll pack up and get going. I'll send them out soon. Yes, that's everything. Then, thank you for your help. The courier picked up the packages and took the elevator down. Only then did I realize I'd been blocking the doorway. I quickly let Vivian in. Why are you back so early? There wasn't much to take care of today. Why did you say the watches belonged to someone else? It wouldn't have been appropriate to say they were yours. We live here, and we don't know how secure this place is. If people notice we're wealthy, it could put us in danger. Besides, that courier company has come by several times. They know us by now, and we'll need their help shipping things in the future. If I said they were mine but refused to give her a big discount, what if she holds a grudge and tampers with my shipments? We could handle it through the proper channels afterward, but it would still be a hassle. After all, you never really know what people are thinking. And we're not that close, so it's just not worth the risk. You really thought it through. By the way, there's a cocktail party in a few days that we need to attend together. Get ready ahead of time. I've hardly ever been to a cocktail party. Would it cause you trouble for me to go with you now? It's fine. At this point, no one can cause me any trouble. And even if there is trouble, a little more won't matter. Vivian calmly picked up a glass from the table and poured herself some water. Something about that didn't sit right with me. All right, I'll get ready properly. For the next 2 days, Vivian still left early and came home late. But she ate breakfast and dinner at home. As usual, I made enough food for 2 every morning and evening. Meanwhile, I spent every day diligently writing and selling things. I also kept looking up information on how to attend a cocktail party. That day, the moment Vivian walked in, she noticed that I wasn't curled up on the couch like usual. Instead, the moment I heard the door open, I looked at her with eager eyes. There was something strange in my expression, too. Looking at the clothes on the couch, she asked, "What's going on? Why did you buy so many clothes?" "Miss Vivian, help me out. It's been so long since I've been to a cocktail party. I have no idea what styles are appropriate these days. These are the more suitable formal outfits I picked out. Which one do you think is better? Didn't you used to like picking out your own clothes?" My circumstances changed so suddenly back then. I was still a little sensitive, so I insisted on choosing my own clothes, just to protect what little dignity I had. But now I understand. A person is who they are. There's no need to be so sensitive and make people look down on me. It's better to just openly admit when I don't know something. Looks like you've figured things out. Now hurry and tell me which dress is more suitable. I can't make up my mind. After looking them over, Vivian casually pointed to the classic black suit. This one. It's understated and suits the occasion. Okay, this one it is. Once we settled on an outfit, I put the rest of the clothes away. When it was time to leave for the party, Vivian drove me there herself. I deliberately sat in the back seat. Vivian glanced at me in the rearview mirror. "Aren't you cold wearing so little?" "I'm fine. It's long-sleeved and it's not that cold. Why do I feel like you're acting a little strange toward me?" "How could I be? We don't have any bad blood between us, and you've been so good to me. I can't thank you enough. It's mainly because we didn't interact much before. But lately, we've been around each other all the time. I'm just not used to it yet. I'll get used to it eventually." Vivian looked at me in the rearview mirror while I scratched the back of my head. My fake smile disappeared, and I looked a little lost. I suddenly didn't feel like talking anymore. Neither of us said another word, and we soon arrived at the city's largest hotel. Vivian and I had just reached the entrance when someone stepped in our way. A slightly overweight man with greasy hair stood in front of us. A flamboyantly dressed woman was clinging to his arm. His face was full of obvious ill intent. Wang Yuan Group has been keeping a close eye on that land east of town lately. "Shouldn't you be looking into that, Mr. Lee?" Mr. Lee froze for a moment. His expression twisted. Then he forced a smile. "Ms. Bai, you're as impressive as ever. It's been a long time. What a pleasure to see you." Vivian ignored him and led me around him into the hotel. I followed Vivian into the reception. I saw several old drinking buddies from my past. They were either sons-in-law or sons of wealthy families. None of them were particularly valued by their families. Some people saw me holding a drink and wanted to come over. But when they saw Vivian beside me, they all backed off. Some even gave me meaningful looks. "Hey, aren't you going over there?" "Why would I? I'm not looking to get myself killed. Forget it. We weren't close to begin with. We were just being polite. Now that things have changed, we're better off not being friends." After the two of us had taken only a few steps, we had barely gone a few steps, when two young men approached with women holding onto their arms. The man walking faster was slightly older, around 30. He wore a fake smile. Well, if it isn't Miss Vivian. Long time no see. And this gentleman is? Look at my memory. I must be getting old. You're Miss Vivian's husband, aren't you? It's rare to see the two of you out together. What? Things not going well? Short on money lately? I'd always heard your relationship was rocky, but it looks like people were wrong. It's been a long time. I thought Mr. Tang was too sick to get out of bed. Looks like he still can after all. Smart people fall once and know to avoid the same place next time. But people who aren't so smart won't be satisfied until they fall somewhere else. Don't you agree, Mr. Tang? Yes, but some pits used to be just pits. And now they're treasures lying on the ground. When there's treasure, everyone wants to pick it up. I'm sure Miss Vivian understands what I mean. By the way, I heard Miss Vivian has run into some business trouble lately. We've known each other for a while, so let me offer you a word of advice, Miss Vivian. Sometimes, wealth isn't just about money. It can also be about people. I instinctively clenched my fists and stepped in front of Vivian. Just then, a woman's voice came from nearby. Second sister, what are you doing here? The expressions on the two men's faces changed. Pearl walked over and turned to look at the two men. What are you two doing standing here? Since when could you two just come up and talk to my second sister? Have the Tang and Shi families become this disrespectful? Why are you still standing here? Are you waiting for me to invite you? Do you think I'm as patient as my second sister? The two men nodded and immediately turned to leave. The women with them curiously tried to turn around and look at Pearl, but the men harshly scolded them. Second sister, honestly, why did you bring him with you? And if you were going to bring him, you should have told me. Those two idiots actually had the nerve to come bother you. You're way too patient. It's nothing, they're just a couple of clowns. What about you? You don't usually come to events like this. Why did you come this time? Why did you come this time? I was worried that if you came, you might run into someone who didn't know their place. I had to work hard to get my agent to cancel an event for me. But luckily, I came. Otherwise, who knows what those two idiots might have said. Pearl turned to look at me, oddly sizing me up from head to toe. Given my second sister's current situation, there's no way you're getting any money out of her. So stop pretending, you should leave. I gave an awkward smile and said nothing. Don't talk nonsense, we're not divorced yet. Come on, let's go sit over there. All right, I'll go with you. With Pearl sitting beside us, no one else came over. Anyone here with even a little status? Knew Pearl wasn't someone to mess with. I thought I'd have to deal with a lot of awkward situations this time. But we hadn't been sitting long before Vivian wanted to leave with me. Pearl tried to get Vivian to go do something with her. After Vivian turned her down, the two of us headed back together. In the car, I watched Vivian drive. After hesitating for a full 3 minutes, I finally worked up the courage to speak. Did you accomplish what you came to the reception for today? More or less. Didn't I sell all those watches and clothes before? I've got a little money now. I was thinking, since we've settled all the assets, and neither of us owes any debts, why don't we buy a small place? We can make a down payment first. Later, I'll use my royalties to pay it back. Keep the rest as an emergency fund to cover 6 months of living expenses. Use whatever's left if you want to start a business or something. Vivian paused and looked at me in the rearview mirror. There's no rush. How can there be no rush? Housing prices change every day these days. If we don't buy soon, we'll lose more the longer we wait. Renting isn't a long-term solution. If you're worried or don't feel secure, we can put the house in your name. With a house, at least we'll have a place to live in the future. I'll think about it. That night, I went back to my room and kept writing. But Vivian got a phone call. Second sister, I've found what you asked me to look into. I sent an encrypted file to your email. I haven't told anyone else about this. Take a look. Vivian's laptop was open to her inbox. She let out a quiet sigh. Her fingers tapped the desk in a steady rhythm, her brow slightly furrowed. After a long while, she picked up her phone and made a call. Hello, Master Wang? I'd like to ask you something. Could there be someone in this world who, without having multiple personalities or schizophrenia, seems to have become a completely different person? As if even their habits and values suddenly changed? A few minutes later, she hung up. Vivian relaxed and leaned back in her chair. The corners of her otherwise expressionless face suddenly curled into a smile. It's a soul taking over another person's body. The next morning, Vivian slowly finished eating a steamed flour roll. Then she suddenly looked up, as if something had caught her interest. What kinds of stories do you usually write? I paused with my bun in my hands. What do I write? All kinds, I guess. I don't usually limit myself to just a few genres. I want to write everything, but transmigration novels are still my favorite. I love all kinds of imaginative transmigration stories. Does transmigration really exist? I think it does. I think it's real. No one can say for sure what the world really is. Sometimes, we think we're living in a very real world, but maybe it's just a world created in someone else's writing. Who knows what the world is really like? If we can't even be sure of that, how can we say transmigration doesn't exist? Of course, in someone else's story. We might just be some nameless extra, or even the protagonist of the original story. What do you think your past life would have been like if you'd transmigrated? I probably would have been pretty happy. My parents would have loved each other, and I would have been an only child. I could have done whatever I wanted. Maybe my parents would have suddenly passed away, but I would have gotten to study what I loved. I wouldn't have lacked food, drinks, or money, and life would have been pretty good. And if I transmigrated in the end, it would probably be because I died saving someone and got stabbed to death by a criminal. That's a really unlucky way to die. That really is an unlucky way to die. So you need to think things through before you act. Even if you mean well, you have to know your limits. Yeah, exactly. That's really important. Neither of us brought up that topic again. After breakfast, Vivian went out. I stayed home and worked on my writing. Vivian wasn't coming home for lunch. I happily ordered takeout. After eating, I quickly cleaned up and took out the trash. That afternoon, I shipped out the items I'd sold, as usual. Then I went out to buy groceries. As I walked through the supermarket, I suddenly realized that my life now wasn't that different from my previous life. Just as I was thinking about that, an older woman nearby spoke to me. Hey, aren't you that young man whose place that awful woman came to make trouble at last time? You're out buying groceries too? Oh, it's you. I came out to pick up a few groceries. Making dinner tonight? Good, good. Not many young people know how to cook these days. Your wife is lucky to have married you. Not at all. She's busy with work all day, so I've been doing more of the housework lately. I'm the lucky one to have met her. As long as you know how to be grateful, life won't be too bad. Young man, it's rare for someone your age to think that way. If your wife is as grateful as you are, then your life together will only get better and better. I smiled, picked out a good cauliflower, and was about to look at the tomatoes. Vivian suddenly appeared beside me. What are you doing here? I got back early, so I came to pick up a few things. I happened to see you. It's okay. I'm only carrying 4 kinds of vegetables. They're not that heavy. It's fine. Go get what you need. The tomatoes over there look pretty good. I want to make sweet and sour spare ribs. Vivian likes sour food well enough. We bought all kinds of ingredients, along with plenty of essential snacks. Then we bought some A4 paper. After that, we went to check out together. Oh, it's you again, young man. This must be your wife, right? She's really beautiful. Yes, this is my wife. I've never seen such a beautiful young lady. She's even prettier than a movie star. No wonder you wouldn't agree to a divorce. That woman who came bothering you before doesn't hold a candle to your wife. Not only is she less attractive, but she has nowhere near your wife's class. I don't know how she had the nerve to come looking for you. I gasped, my heart jumping into my throat. Vivian gave me a meaningful look. I gave an awkward smile. Yes, ma'am, you're right. That woman is awful. She can't compare to her. I'd have to be crazy to ever have anything to do with someone like her again. She came looking for me with bad intentions. Right, bad intentions. Luckily, I'm not as foolish as I used to be. I'm not that easy to fool anymore. The cashier swiped my card and handed it back to me with both hands. Sir, here's your card. Goodbye, ma'am. Vivian and I quickly headed out of the supermarket. I started to explain. Well, I think you should know. Before I married you, I had an ex-girlfriend. Her name was Vanessa. Back in college, I didn't understand how cruel people could be. So I fell for a terrible woman like her. Of course, I cut off all contact with her after I married you. That day, I had just come out of the supermarket when she showed up looking for me. I knew she had bad intentions. So when she asked me to go with her, I turned her down right away. That woman was one of the kind people who helped put her in her place. Vivian nodded to show that she knew Vanessa. I've heard the Liu Group's second daughter is very petty. Yeah, she's extremely petty. She put on airs and acted like she was some kind of elite. I wasn't her ex-husband back then. I mean, I thought she was an exceptionally accomplished upperclassman. So I felt a little inferior around her. Who would have thought I'd later hear her say she liked my classmate and was just playing with me? It still makes me furious just talking about it. I hate women like that the most. Just stay away from her from now on. Yeah, I definitely won't give her the time of day. Giving a woman like that any attention is a waste of time. After we got home, I tidied up and started cooking. Vivian came into the kitchen. Do you need any help? I was so startled that I quickly waved my hands. No, it's fine. I can handle it myself. You're busy enough already. Go take care of your own stuff. I'll let you know when dinner's ready. Vivian nodded and turned to leave. I kept busy in the kitchen with my apron on. Once the food was ready, I put it on the table. I went over and knocked on Vivian's door. Vivian took her hand off the mouse. She casually closed all the windows, then got up to eat. The two of us usually didn't have much to say to each other, and I never felt like starting a conversation either. But today was an exception. As soon as Vivian sat down, she said, "Someone's coming tomorrow to install the dishwasher." My hand paused as I reached for some food. "A dishwasher? You bought one? Didn't we agree that I'd take my time picking one out? Didn't you say you have trouble making choices? So, I picked one out for you. All you have to do is use it." I didn't know what to say. "Then I'll try not to go out tomorrow." "Then I'll try not to go out tomorrow." That ended the conversation. We were about to continue eating. Then my phone rang. "Hello?" I froze for a moment and didn't know how to respond. Why would Vivian want me to meet Spencer? Spencer's voice continued on the other end of the line. "Rainier, don't shut everyone out just because you've been through a setback. Not everyone wants to kick you while you're down or laugh at you. Even if there's nothing I can do, I can still talk to you. Maybe it'll help you feel a little better. You've been holding this in for so long. Are you really going to keep suffering in silence?" Back then, Spencer was always like an older brother to my ex-husband. He played the role of a trusted older brother. My ex-husband told him everything. That was why my ex-husband did whatever Spencer told him to do. Because of that, when Spencer was faced with my ex-husband's cold attitude, he instinctively assumed my ex-husband was just acting tough. "All right, since you put it that way, I'll meet with you and see what you have to say." I caught Vivian's signal and had no choice but to agree. The person on the other end sounded very pleased. We chatted for a little longer, then hung up. "Why did you want me to meet him?" Vivian set down her chopsticks and said calmly, "Mr. Song never does anything without something to gain. When he came to you before, he was trying to get information about my whereabouts from you. Now that you're no longer useful to him, the fact that he's still coming to you means he's found something else he can use you for. If you don't go, he'll find another way." I got it right away. The unspoken message was that since I couldn't avoid it forever, I might as well give him a chance to get close to me from the start. "Sure enough," Vivian continued, "no matter what, it's better to have some control than none at all. And once you know someone has bad intentions, it's better to be on guard than to be plotted against behind your back without knowing it." Yeah, I understand. It wasn't that I didn't understand that. It's just that my old life never required me to think about things like this. I still hadn't fully adjusted to my new role, or to my new environment. But Vivian was usually a woman of few words. Was she suddenly telling me all this to teach me? Vivian, sitting across from me, picked up her chopsticks again and resumed eating at an unhurried pace. From where I sat, her table manners were as elegant as ever, as if none of this surprised her, as if she didn't think there was anything strange about someone plotting against her. That's right, plotting against her. As a live-in son-in-law, I didn't think I was worth Spencer coming after or scheming against. The only person worth plotting against was Vivian, the family's young lady. As for my meeting with Spencer, Vivian's only instruction was to chat casually and avoid sensitive topics, then report back to her afterward. I nodded. I made a note of the place Spencer had invited me to, a well-known coffee shop downtown. When I got the notice, I looked it up online. Even the cheapest drink cost more than $200. When had I ever been this extravagant? On the day of the meeting, I dressed up carefully. I was bound to be mocked anyway, but at least no one could criticize me for looking sloppy. But I never expected Spencer's first words to me would still be a jab. "Rainier, I know you're hurting inside. You've always been so proud. But things have come to this. Why pretend you're better off than you are in front of me? I won't look down on you." If I hadn't known what Spencer was really like, I might have actually thought he was concerned about me. Even after saying something like that, he could still keep a concerned look on his face, like he was looking out for me. That couldn't have been easy. "You're too kind, Mr. Spencer. No matter how hard life gets, you can't give up on dressing well. After all, I'm handsome. It'd be a waste not to dress up. You're only young for so long, so you can't waste a single day. And with natural gifts like mine, if I don't make myself look good, I'd be wasting heaven's favor." Since he'd already handed me the knife, I wasn't about to let him push me around. I immediately stabbed him right in the heart. All right. Rainier is the most handsome. Let's go. I know you've been feeling down lately. Let's have some tea and talk. I may not be able to do much else, but I can listen to you vent. Get all that frustration off your chest, and you'll feel a little better." Still smiling, he patted me on the shoulder. The server led us to the best private room in the city. I couldn't help thinking, this really was the kind of place rich people went. It was definitely more impressive than those little tea houses. This huge courtyard alone put so many other places to shame. The design was clearly master level. Spencer saw me staring at the courtyard and assumed I was reminiscing about my former life of luxury. He sneered inwardly, though his expression remained gentle. "Rainier, what would you like to drink?" I snapped back to my senses, and my eyes lit up. I immediately rattled off a whole list of names. They were all this place's famous specialties that I'd looked up online. Rainier, you ordered so much. Can you finish all that food and drink? I knew Spencer was questioning me. How could I suddenly become so shameless and act like I'd never eaten before? But I had no intention of hiding it. If we can't finish it, we'll take it to go. No big deal. Take it to go? Pack up leftovers? Was he really that short on food? Exactly. It'd be such a waste not to take the leftovers home. I'm not who I used to be. Of course I save where I can. Besides, being thrifty is one of our traditional virtues. Why are you so surprised, Mr. Spencer? Do you have a problem with that traditional virtue? Spencer opened his mouth, only to realize he couldn't argue back. After a moment, he said awkwardly, "You're right. What you're doing is right. There's nothing wrong with it. Yeah, I think the old me was far too extravagant. I bought so many luxury items I clearly couldn't even use. It wasn't just a waste of money, but of time and energy too. It would be so much better to use that time for something meaningful instead. There are still so many people in this world who need help. How could I have been so blind to it before? It would have been better to use that money to help children in poor areas. That would be better than buying a pile of luxury goods and leaving them at home. By the way, Mr. Spencer, you're so kind and wonderful. You must have helped a lot of people in need, right?" Spencer was good at talking people into things and building himself a good image. As for helping the poor, he wouldn't even dream of it. Found a movie I'd been planning to watch and happily started watching it. Why would he be so generous with other people? Even so, he still smiled very sincerely. Of course. When I have free time, I help people in need now and then. After all, my parents taught me from a young age to always share with others and help people in need. Spencer thought I wanted to talk to him about that. But then I changed the subject. Since you're so generous with complete strangers, Mr. Spencer, and we've known each other for so long and are such good friends, now that I'm in trouble and have become one of the poor, shouldn't you help me out, Mr. Spencer? He never expected this. He never expected this. That I, someone who had always cared so much about saving face, would say something like that. There are hardships you don't know about, Mr. Spencer. My life is so hard right now, I don't even dare buy a watch. Every day, I have to look at my spouse's cold face, and I don't even dare bring up money. I've called everyone else, but no one will even answer. When I saw Spencer's expression change a little, I got up and moved over beside Spencer. I grabbed his hand and held it tight, not giving him any chance to pull away. "Mr. Spencer, you're the only one still good to me and willing to come see me. You're the only person I can ask for help. You're always so loaded. You casually spend 200,000 or 300,000 at a time. You can't be stingy with an old friend like me. You'll help me, right? After all, we're good friends." I held Spencer's hand tightly, my voice full of earnestness. Seeing that he still hadn't reacted, I added, "Come to think of it, I haven't talked to any of my old female friends yet." That last line struck a nerve with Spencer. He was practically frantic. But none of the women he liked were interested in him. Yet he always acted like a refined gentleman. But behind his back, plenty of people knew his behavior was beyond saving. In the end, his family came up with a plan. Keep him from being too visible. Make people forget about him as much as possible. The reason he came to me this time was to get something done so he could show the woman he likes what he's capable of. Rainier, what are you talking about? What kind of relationship do we have? How could I watch you suffer and do nothing? Didn't I come see you as soon as I got back to the country? You know me. I've always been kind-hearted. It hurts me to see even strangers suffer, let alone you. Don't worry. I may not have much cash on hand, but I can still come up with 80 or 100,000. I'll transfer it to you later. Use it for emergencies first. Don't be so polite with me. All right. Miss Vivian, what are you going to do after the bankruptcy? How would I know? You know my college major had nothing to do with business. Even if he told me everything, I wouldn't understand it. Anyway, as long as we still have food to eat, that's enough. He's always been busy, but I don't know what he's busy with. I wouldn't understand even if I asked, so I just don't ask. I wouldn't understand it anyway, so I just don't ask. I was going to get a divorce, but then I heard we weren't in debt. So we'll just keep living like this. I heard Vanessa came to see you afterward. Yeah, but she's no good either. No matter how useless I am, I can't let myself look bad in front of her. So I deliberately acted like I'd never leave Vivian, just to make her mad. She couldn't compare to Vivian before, and she still can't compare to me now. She may not be anyone remarkable, but even now that Vivian has fallen this far, she's never treated me badly. That shows she's a good person. I'd rather trust someone with good character than a piece of trash. But maybe Miss Vanessa only realized you were the one she truly loved after she lost you. You've never suffered before. If you keep living this hard life, when will it ever end? Honestly, I don't think life is all that hard now. When we had money, there was always a bunch of nonsense to deal with. My mind was full of all kinds of thoughts, and I could only feel better by shopping. Things are much quieter now. I can do whatever I want. I've never been someone who couldn't handle a hard life. This is how I lived before college anyway. So this is fine too. I don't have any complaints. I just need to figure out how to make money from here on out. You're planning to go out and get a job? How can you do that? What kind of work could you even do? Imagine her running into you while you're working at a store counter or supermarket. Good jobs aren't easy to find. That only leaves jobs that don't require any special skills. Could you handle that? What's so hard about it? I graduated from a top university after all. I may not have worked before, but I can learn. I've got all the basic skills, like English. And my professional skills are fine too. Only then did Spencer remember that I really did get in on my own merits. After getting into a top university, before I met Vivian and Vanessa. Unlike me, he wasn't good at school and had to rely on his family to send him abroad to polish his credentials. His mood soured again, but he refused to back down. Education is important, sure, but experience matters just as much. If you're only starting now, you definitely can't compete with young people fresh out of college. It won't be easy. I'll give it a try. If I could get into a top university, surely I can handle a simple job. It can't be harder than the college entrance exam, right? Oh, look at me. Why did I bring that up in front of you? It's fine. It's normal that you wouldn't know, Mr. Spencer. Don't worry about it. After all, you've never had to work for yourself. I'm so jealous. You can rely on your family now, then rely on your wife later. You don't have to do anything yourself. You can just coast through life. How wonderful. In other words, you're useless. You can't do anything except rely on other people. Spencer barely managed to keep his expression from twisting. He thought bitterly, no wonder her life is such a mess. She has no idea how to talk to people. But I was thoroughly enjoying myself. The two of us traded barbs, both knowing exactly what the other was doing. While keeping up a polite front, we took jabs at each other now and then. The difference was that Spencer's jabs didn't bother me at all. But mine hit him right where it hurt. When it was time to part ways, I was delighted. Spencer, on the other hand, was practically fuming inside. Before I left, I reminded Spencer not to forget to pay me. Spencer figured he could invite me out again next time to show off and pry for information. He nodded to show he understood. Then, after dragging his feet, he transferred me 100,000 yuan. I happily went home with the money. When I got home, Vivian was sitting on the couch looking at her laptop. Hearing the door open, Vivian looked over at me. As I changed my shoes and clothes, then went to wash my hands in the bathroom, I had a smile on my face the whole time. I was clearly in a great mood. I'm home! Ha ha ha! I went out today and made 100,000 yuan for nothing. Aren't I amazing? I waved the phone I'd kept with me the whole time, unable to hide how smug I sounded. You made 100,000 yuan for nothing? Spencer gave it to you? Yup. He started showing off the moment he got there. He even tried to fish for information, but I indirectly shut him down. Then I deliberately acted poor, buttered him up, and gave him no way to back out. I also made it clear that if he didn't give me something, I'd tell everyone who knew him that he had no compassion. To protect his image, he had no choice but to cough up some money. Vivian suddenly remembered how her ex-husband used to swipe his card to buy handbags every day. Yet the person in front of her was this happy over 100,000 yuan. She felt strangely moved. No reason to turn down free money. It really isn't easy to get money out of Spencer. Come on, open Alipay. I'll transfer it to you. Anyway, I'll send it to you. It's free money after all. Just think of it as him paying back what he owed you. Go ahead and use it. You don't have to worry about there not being enough money at home. Vivian found it strange that he was so generously telling her to spend it. Is there anything you need me to do? No. We don't need anything around the house lately, and nothing's broken. But that wasn't what Vivian meant. But judging by my response, we clearly weren't on the same page. She actually took out her phone, opened Alipay, and held it out in front of me. I casually transferred the money I'd just gotten, before I could even enjoy having it, into her account. As if giving her the money was the most natural thing in the world. You don't mind giving me free money? It was yours to begin with. Wasn't the money we spent treating Mr. Spencer to dinner all yours? Now that we're short on money, of course he should pay it back to you. I like money too, but now I'd rather earn it myself. I can make money from my writing now. As long as I'm here, I won't let you go hungry. Maybe not gourmet food, but there'll be plenty of simple meals. Well, thank you very much. Don't mention it. After all, you were good to me too. Oh, I also packed up some food to bring back. None of it was touched. Do you want some? Although Vivian had grown up well off, she was never someone who liked to waste things, except when she had to appear lavish for business. She ate regular meals at home. The only difference was that the cook was better. She'd eaten packed up food before when she was in school. Sure, I hadn't expected her to actually eat it. I thought a rich young lady wouldn't eat this kind of thing. So I hesitated. I just remembered that I only packed desserts. Is that okay? What's wrong with that? So I went to get the package from the door, and when I opened it, sure enough, It was full of pastries and snacks. Vivian casually picked one up and put it in her mouth. After swallowing it, she gave her opinion. These taste better when they're still warm. You've had these before? Vivian glanced at me and slowly pulled out a tissue to wipe her hands. Grandpa used to like these. Old Master Bai used to like them, so Miss Vivian would buy some for her grandpa from time to time. Maybe Old Master Bai had let Miss Vivian try them before. I suddenly realized I was only bringing back painful memories for her. I immediately felt a little awkward. I'm sorry. You don't need to apologize. The past has nothing to do with the present, so there's no need to apologize. What do you want for dinner? I'll make it for you. I still felt pretty guilty. She had taken such good care of her ex-husband before. She hadn't made things difficult for me since I came here. Yet I went and rubbed salt in her wounds. When her business was struggling, I hurt her emotionally too. That was awful of me. Anything is fine. I have something to do. I'll be going out later. I'll be back tonight. Just a little late. Okay. Go take care of your business. I'll wait for you so we can have dinner tonight. Vivian glanced at me. She wanted to say I didn't need to wait for her that night. But seeing how guilty I looked, she kept it to herself. After Vivian left, I thought it over and cleaned the house. Then I wrote for a while before heading out to buy groceries. At around 8, I heard the door open. I looked up from my document and saw that Vivian had already come in. I quickly saved the document. You're back. Dinner should still be warm. Are you hungry? Vivian took off her coat and hung it on the wall. The chill she had brought in from outside vanished at once in the warmth of the house. She casually glanced over and noticed the dishes on the dining table. They were all covered though. Vivian changed her shoes and came inside. It's so late. You must be hungry. I just need to wash my hands. I'm fine. I'm not very hungry. I might not be able to come home often. If I won't be back, I'll let you know. Just eat when you're hungry. You don't have to wait for me. Okay. I figured someone like Vivian wouldn't come home for dinner on time every day like people with regular jobs. If she doesn't come back, it'll be easier on me. When I'm eating alone, I can just make something simple. Feeling a little guilty, I made a pretty lavish dinner. I even made steamed buns from scratch, which I hardly ever do. The small buns came in all kinds of varieties. Twisted rolls, sweet-filled buns, cornmeal buns, sweet potato rolls, and more. They looked absolutely adorable. You could probably finish each one in 2 or 3 bites. Vivian picked up a twisted roll and finished it in just a few bites. It tasted pretty good. The buns are good, aren't they? I spent a lot of time figuring out how to make good steamed buns. I studied it for a full 3 or 4 days. Eventually, I figured out the right proportions and timing. That's how the buns turned out like they do now. Twisted rolls and sweet-filled buns are my favorites. All my friends like them too. Whenever I had nothing to do, I suddenly stopped mid-sentence. Oh no, I got carried away and almost let something slip. You're really good at this. You mean your college friends, right? Yeah, my friends. Yeah, my college friends. We haven't really kept in touch since then. I haven't made steamed buns in ages. I didn't think I'd still have the touch. Good thing the young lady didn't read anything else into it. Otherwise, she'd get suspicious in no time. I quietly breathed a sigh of relief, not noticing the interested look on the face of the person across from me. Oh, right. I simmered the chicken soup for a long time today, so have some more. My chicken soup has always been delicious. Vivian really liked this soup. Soup from outside always seemed to be missing something, but mine had everything. She knew it wasn't really about the flavor. It was simply the feeling of someone caring enough to make soup for you. When she was little, Vivian's mother also liked making chicken soup for her, though it honestly didn't taste very good. But her mother always insisted that chicken soup was good for children. So Father Bai always made Vivian finish it. After her mother and Father Bai died unexpectedly, Vivian tried all kinds of chicken soup. The Bai family's chefs and housekeepers had all tried to perfect chicken soup. Unfortunately, none of them could recreate that flavor. As Vivian got a little older, she no longer showed any special fondness for chicken soup. So everyone gradually forgot about it. Vivian felt there was probably a reason she was so tolerant of the man in front of her. It probably had something to do with the way he occasionally reminded her of her mother. Why are you staring at me? Is there something on my face? I realized Vivian had been staring right at me. Didn't she know that staring at people like that put a lot of pressure on them? Or had she sensed something was off again? You seem to have dark circles under your eyes. I got up and stared at myself in the mirror for a long time. I thought I could vaguely see a hint of them. So this was a sign that I was getting dark circles? I couldn't help but shudder. Vivian had only said it casually and hadn't expected me to react so strongly. After waiting a while and not seeing me come out, she asked curiously, "What's wrong? Aren't you eating?" As soon as she said that, I came out sheepishly. I probably got them from staying up late writing novels lately. A few dark circles don't make a difference. You're still very handsome. Hearing Vivian praise me so suddenly, My cheeks flushed, and I felt embarrassed. After breakfast, I got up to clear the dishes. But Vivian stopped me. I'll do it today. No, I can do it. As I spoke, I took the dishes from Vivian and hurried into the kitchen. Vivian smiled quietly, shook her head, and stopped trying to take them back. As she passed through the living room, she saw my computer on the coffee table, with the document still open. On a whim, she walked over to see what I had written. After putting everything away, I came out. Then I saw something that shocked me. Vivian was sitting elegantly on the couch, resting her cheek on one hand as she read my novel intently. I practically rushed over to Vivian, afraid she'd look down on it. That's strange. Why won't you let me read this novel? It's not very good. All right. Then, I won't read it. As I quietly wondered whether I had overreacted, she stopped at her bedroom door and suddenly said, "Honestly, I think it's a little exaggerated that the heroine keeps leaving her company to be with the male lead. It's a little over the top. If the heroine is the company's CEO, she wouldn't have that much free time." With that, she went into her bedroom and closed the door behind her. I was left sitting where she had been, completely dumbfounded. The young lady had read at least 2 chapters, the 2 most melodramatic ones, at that. I wasn't upset at all that she had criticized my novel. I just wanted to explain to Vivian that the novels I write are more about romance than realism. If I wrote a CEO novel realistically, it would be full of plot holes, and it wouldn't have nearly as many readers. Too bad the heiress doesn't understand online fiction. There's no way I can explain it to her. A few days later, early one morning, Vivian had finished breakfast but hadn't left yet. Suddenly, someone knocked on the front door. I just finished washing the dishes, so I went to answer the door. Who could it be? It's strange for anyone to come by this early. The people outside didn't say anything and just kept knocking. I looked through the peephole and saw 2 young women standing outside. Both of them looked stylish and carried themselves well. Either one could be a TV or movie star. They were clearly no ordinary people. My heart skipped a beat, and I turned to knock on Vivian's bedroom door. "Someone's at the door. I think they're here to see you." Vivian took her hand off the mouse and got up. When she came out, she saw the worry on my face. "There are 2 women outside who clearly aren't ordinary people. See if they're here to see you." I don't think I've ever seen them before. What I didn't say was that I was afraid they were there to cause Vivian trouble. My mind was still racing. What if they really were here to make trouble? Outside, Grace stopped knocking and turned to Winnie beside her. She said, "Are you sure you remembered correctly? This is where second sister lives now, right?" Why isn't anyone answering? Don't tell me she went out. Didn't you say second sister still hasn't divorced that guy named Goo? Isn't he home either? Why are you asking me? Who am I supposed to ask? I told you not to come, but you wouldn't listen. Second sister's been busy lately. You're not missing any arms or legs. Second sister isn't in any rush to see you. But I still need to see her. I haven't seen second sister in a whole year. Second sister's had such terrible luck lately. If I don't see her for myself, how can I possibly put my mind at ease? She pouted stubbornly and kept knocking. But this time, she started pounding on the door. The door suddenly opened. "What are you 2 doing here? Come on in. Second sister, I missed you so much. Your little sister is back." Grace cried out excitedly. She rushed straight toward Vivian. She threw her arms around Vivian. Then she let go. "I'm back." That's good. Clearly, Grace only sees second sister as real family. The rest of us don't matter. "Come on in." I stood behind them, completely dumbfounded. Second sister, could these 2 be 2 of eldest sister's friends? Grace happily headed inside, then turned around and ran into a bewildered face. She was just as stunned. Pointing at me, she asked, "Why is there a man here?" "Oh, wait, you're Rainier. What are you doing here? Why can't I be here?" "Second sis, it's one thing that you haven't divorced him, but you're still living with him? If we didn't live together, were we supposed to sleep on the streets? Why do you always have so much to say? Rainier and second sis aren't divorced. What's so strange about them living together? Come in and have a seat." Grace opened her mouth, but she just couldn't force a smile at me. She had no choice but to pretend she didn't see me and walk around to sit on the couch. Winnie nodded to me and went over to sit down too. Since we had guests, I went to the dining room to pour some tea. When I came back, the 3 women were sitting separately on the couches. Other than Vivian, the other 2 were looking at her. The silent awkwardness made me want to leave right away. I have something to take care of this morning, so I'm heading out. You 2 can talk. Okay. I won't be home for lunch. Okay? After saying that, I hurried to the bedroom and threw on a jacket. I quickly gathered my things and headed out. Ever since Vivian said that, Grace had been staring at me in shock and disbelief. The moment I stepped out and shut the door behind me, she said, with an indescribable look on her face. "Eating at home? Second sis, are you saying this place is home?" Grace's words caught Vivian off guard too. Then she quickly regained her composure. "We've been eating here lately. His cooking is pretty good. Wait, second sis. Do you really plan to spend the rest of your life with this man? Other than his looks, he has nothing to offer. It's not like we're short on handsome men. I don't believe you'd fall for him just because of his looks. If that were the case, you would have fallen for him long ago. But still, with all due respect, among all the handsome men of his type I've seen over the years, I've never seen anyone better than him. Besides, you shouldn't judge someone based on who they were before. You didn't know him before you went abroad, and you haven't spent any time with him since you came back. What makes you so confident you can judge him? Lastly, do you think second sis is an idiot? There must be a reason she's been so tolerant of Rainier. Don't forget, everyone thinks second sis is penniless now. Yet Rainier has stayed by her side all this time, even under these circumstances. Isn't that strange? When Winnie was helping Vivian look into his background before, she looked into him carefully too. The conclusion she reached was very strange. She guessed Vivian wanted to keep him close and watch him for a while. After all, it's easy to dodge an open attack, but hard to guard against one from the shadows. But before Grace could even nod, to show that she understood Vivian, Vivian said something that surprised them. It's not as complicated as you think. He's changed. He's doing pretty well now. He's living here because he has nowhere else to go. Now, he earns money and cooks for himself when he has free time, living like he did before college. No, then why won't he divorce you? Divorce would give her a fresh start. Those are two separate things, aren't they? Why does he have to stay by your side? There are other reasons, and you don't need to know them. Just be more polite to him from now on. He's not as bad as you think. Grace wanted to ask more, but Winnie cut her off. Second sister has her own plans, so of course we don't need to worry. Since Rainier isn't who we thought he was, we just need to be more polite to him from now on. Grace. No. Fourth sister means that we know you're close to second sister. But could you not, whenever it comes to, could you not get so worked up whenever it involves second sister? Stop following little six's lead all day, or you'll end up too dumb to think straight. I'm not following little six. How could that little fool be anything like me? You're pretty much the same, aren't you? When we told little six not to look for second sister at the banquet, she still couldn't help running over there. She almost caused trouble for second sister. You two are all the same. I'm not. I just got back, so I didn't know what was going on, okay? And you never explain things clearly. You always tell me only half the story. It's only because I'm patient that this hasn't driven me crazy. Grace glared at Winnie. But Winnie just gave a soft, mocking laugh. Let's drop it. Grace, now that you're back, are you planning to join the song group? I don't want to, but my old man insists on it. You all know I'm not interested in the auto industry at all. It's so annoying. You may not be interested, but you're talented. You could spot problems in your dad's newly developed cars back in high school. Did you really expect your dad to let you off the hook? The moment he thinks about having a daughter like you, born to serve the family business, he probably laughs in his sleep. Give me a break. If I'd known my old man was that sneaky, I never would have fallen for his trap. My brief time of freedom is about to come to an end. My poor automotive career is about to be snatched away by my dad. It really makes me mad. That old man never let on that he was such a foodie. He actually managed to hide it for all these years. That's terrifying. Having an elder pushing you forward is a blessing too. Uncle Song has gone to a lot of trouble for you. You should cherish that. I've never had second sister's gift for appreciating classical culture. All tea tastes the same to me. I'd rather chug it in one gulp and enjoy myself. Isn't that perfect? Hahaha. You're right. It's nice to just enjoy it. Haha, she was laughed at. Grace didn't mind at all. So, I wasn't born with a cultured person's sensibilities. It's no big deal. I was never as good as second sister. By the way, second sister, what are you planning to do? I refuse to believe that guy is really that extraordinary. How could anyone predict the future and always stay one step ahead? Second sister, are you sure there isn't a mole? Narrator. Vivian had originally. The faint smile on Vivian's face vanished instantly. She paused to think. I don't know exactly where the problem is. Even when I don't tell anyone about the plan, someone still finds out about it. A mole alone can't explain this. As she spoke, Grace and Winnie listened intently. You want me to check your things again? Maybe there's some advanced surveillance technology I missed before. Probably not. Later, I tried moving somewhere else without taking anything, even changing my clothes. Nothing changed. Did he really have some kind of special ability? Can't eldest sister and the others do anything either? No. We joined forces to go after him before. Whether we set traps or confronted him head-on, he avoided every single one. Somehow, he got connected with the Wen family. Later, Old Master Wen personally stepped in to mediate and indirectly warned us off. Old Master Wen? How is that possible? Didn't he stop meddling in the younger generation's affairs a long time ago? This G guy is disgusting. If he wants a fight, fine, but he actually brought in outside help. Do you think we're elementary school kids? Where you hit me and I hit you? Damn it. Why would old Master Wen help him? I've never heard that old Master Wen was such a compassionate man. I heard it was his wife. By chance, she once saved old Master Wen. Old Master Wen took a particular liking to her. But why does she have to go after Second Sister? Second Sister clearly has so many businesses. Even if she's putting all her effort into growing her construction business, it doesn't conflict with any of Second Sister's other businesses. Vivian suddenly smiled as she looked at the two grim-faced sisters. All right, isn't it much better now? Don't worry about it anymore. Now that I have nothing left, I can find out what she really wants. Penniless. Without a dime to my name. Only then can we tell whether she's deliberately targeting her personally, or if she just wants to take over her businesses to further her own goals. So, Second Sister, are you planning to focus only on your tech business from now on? That industry requires a huge investment. Who knows when you'll see any results? The tech industry is the best industry for the future. I've wanted to restructure and upgrade my businesses for a long time. Before, I had to think about carrying that pack of leeches from the Bai family along with me. Now that burden is gone, things are much easier. This is fine too. In a way, it helped you get rid of a burden, Second Sister. But it's true that you suffered losses too. Once I take over the family business, I'll help you deal with him. I refuse to believe he can predict every move we make. Don't make things worse. Once you take over the Qian group, you'll need time just to learn the ropes. By then, Second Sister will have already gotten back on her feet. Just focus on your own work. Second Sister has better judgment than you do. Besides, she still has us. You've been busy for so many years. Now that you finally have time to rest, what's the rush? Second Sister, why aren't you worried at all? When has Second Sister ever been worried? Now that you mention it, I don't think I've ever seen Second Sister worried. All right. Second Sister, if you need anything, just call me. I'll be there whenever you need me. The three of them chatted a little longer, then headed out together. When I came back that afternoon, there was no one left in the house. Every one of the eldest Mrs. friends had such a strong presence, and they made it painfully clear that they didn't like me. It was really testing my limits. They said they had something to do outside, but they really didn't. I was just making an excuse to leave. I had nowhere else to go, so I went to an internet cafe to write. The pretty woman playing games next to me kept glancing over at me. She lost game after game. Later, just as she couldn't resist trying to strike up a conversation, I switched computers. But after I switched to another computer, the girl next to me came over again and tried to chat me up. She asked why I was writing here. It felt like she was trying to get some positive energy from me. It left me feeling pretty helpless. Once I got home, I could finally relax. I changed clothes and gave a big stretch. I bounced over to the couch and curled up, then decided I wanted a shower. I took out my phone and checked Vivian's message. She really wasn't supposed to be back until late tonight. So I headed straight to the bathroom and took a nice hot shower. I dried my hair, then made myself some lemon tea. I grabbed some snacks I'd bought earlier and happily curled up on the couch. After thinking it over, I decided not to write for now. I opened my laptop. He wasn't that kind-hearted. He never thought he had enough money for himself. As I watched, I kept grabbing snacks and popping them into my mouth, and taking a sip of lemon tea. Then I'd take another sip of lemon tea. Nothing in the world is better than having nothing to worry about. A shower, freshly dried hair, snacks, and a show. Ever since I came to this world, I'd never felt this good. As the movie gradually reached its climax, I stared at the screen, completely absorbed. I completely forgot where I was. Just as a door suddenly opened in the movie, an out-of-place sound of a door opening rang out. The post-production crew should have their lunches taken away. That door sound was completely out of place. You didn't eat lunch? Vivian's voice suddenly came from the doorway. I jolted, and the chips in my hand fell onto my crossed legs. I looked up to see Vivian frowning at me. Vivian stood tall, her head tilted slightly as she frowned at me. Or rather, at my now empty hand. In Vivian's eyes, the man a few steps away stared at her wide-eyed. He looked as if he'd been startled. Like a little animal frozen in place, kind of like a koala. Weren't you supposed to be back late tonight? I finally managed to collect myself and find my voice. I couldn't hide how awkward I felt. There was an unspoken accusation in my words. Vivian put on her slippers and came inside, looking away. I came back once I was done. Grace had insisted on checking out her company, but Mr. Song suddenly summoned Grace. So she had to go back first and see what it was about. There was no rush to visit the company anymore. The company isn't going anywhere. It can wait a day or two. You didn't eat lunch? I gently pinched a corner of the chip bag and cautiously pulled it away. With a smile on my face, I did. Just watching a movie to kill time and having some snacks. As I spoke, I pulled the bag of chips under the table, then tossed it straight into the trash. As far as her ex-husband remembered, the heiress had never touched snacks. It made me feel like eating snacks in front of her was somehow embarrassing. That's all junk food. You should eat less of it. Yeah. I only eat a little once in a while. By the way, are you having dinner at home tonight? At the familiar word home, Vivian's eyes changed for a moment. Yeah, I'd already decided what takeout to order tonight. But now, I had to make it myself again. So much for the movie. All that planning was for nothing. I got excited for nothing. Life's greatest joys and sorrows always come out of nowhere. Joy comes so suddenly. What's wrong? I hadn't asked her what she wanted to eat like I always did. After pouring herself some water, Vivian tilted her head and looked at me. She found that I looked oddly pitiful. No, it's nothing. What do you want for dinner? Anything's fine. Make whatever you want. Then I'll make meatball soup. There was still plenty of soybean pulp left from making soy milk this morning. I was planning to fry the meatballs tonight and have meatball soup tomorrow morning. But since you're back, I'll make it tonight instead. I'll get started. Go ahead. I'll call you when it's ready. After Vivian went back to her room, I looked at the computer screen and vaguely saw my reflection in it. Only then did I realize I'd been so busy dealing with the snacks that I'd completely forgotten to comb my hair. I finally understood why the heiress had been looking at me so strangely. I jumped off the couch and rushed straight to the bathroom. I grabbed a comb and quickly combed my hair. I kept mentally kicking myself. Why had I let myself go like that? Didn't I know about Murphy's Law? Well, this was just great. Looking like that in front of the heiress was beyond embarrassing. Then I thought about how polished and elegant the heiress had looked. I practically wanted to bang my head against the glass. It's not like I care that much about my appearance. But for some reason, Vivian makes people feel like, when they're standing next to her, if they don't take good care of their appearance, they'll instantly look completely inferior. I seriously suspect that's one reason Vivian makes people hate her. She's used to being around wealthy, influential people. Those young heirs grew up in wealthy circles. Everyone usually feels superior to ordinary people. But then there's someone whose presence alone makes everyone else look pathetic. Who wouldn't be upset by that? The reason her ex-husband never thought about going after Vivian was that he simply didn't have the guts. Now I have to cook for this walking masterpiece, and I have to do a good job. Then I have to keep up my courage and ignore her charm while having dinner face-to-face with her. Frying meatballs always leaves you smelling like cooking oil. I stared intently at the frying pan, my hands moving skillfully. I kept squeezing out meatball after meatball and dropping them into the hot oil. The room filled with a delicious smell. An hour after going into her room, Vivian came out. The moment she opened the door, she smelled fried food. She could also faintly hear something. She followed the sound to the kitchen. There, she saw me looking completely focused. I looked completely focused. My movements were very practiced. I was even humming some unknown tune, looking like I was having a great time. One golden meatball after another was scooped out. One little cutie is ready, and a whole bunch of little cuties are waiting to go into the pan. You're all such adorable little meatballs. You must taste amazing. In a little while, I'll carefully turn you into a delicious meatball soup. I won't let all your hard work go to waste. Someone who could make cooking this much fun was the only one Vivian had ever seen. Curious, she crossed her arms and leaned against the doorway to see what else I would do. Sure enough, I didn't disappoint her. There weren't many meatballs left anyway. I scooped out the meatballs, then turned to chop the washed vegetables. I was actually still talking to myself. You're little cuties too. You're so pretty. You must have worked hard growing like this, right? I'll treat you well too. I promise I'll let you float on top of the soup. I won't let you live for nothing. I happily talked to myself. My mind was full of scenes from the novel. I was brainstorming when I turned my head and suddenly saw a real live person in the doorway. Startled, I stumbled back 2 steps, slipped, and fell backward. Vivian was startled too. She immediately reached out to catch me. Before she could catch me, I had already braced myself against the sink behind me and steadied myself. Vivian's hand landed on my waist. That unfamiliar warmth felt like it had burned me. I shuddered all over. Are you crazy? Why did you suddenly show up here? You almost made me fall. Do you need something? No. I came out to get a glass of water and heard something over here. So I came over to check. I was just humming. Cooking is kind of boring otherwise. Yeah, the meatballs are done frying. Yeah. By the way, do you want to try one? Vivian hesitated for less than a second. Oh, how could I forget? They may taste good, but fried meatballs aren't very healthy. If you're not hungry, just wait a little longer. Bad for you? Even if Vivian didn't know much about this kind of thing, she still knew this kind of food. It was just a little greasy, not actually bad for you. She stepped closer. How am I supposed to eat these? I froze for a moment, realizing Vivian really intended to try one. Without thinking, I handed her the chopsticks I was holding. Vivian took the chopsticks and glanced at them, realizing they had already been used. Vivian paused. What is it? Nothing. She handed the chopsticks back to me. As I watched in confusion, she picked up a meatball with her fingers and put it straight into her mouth. I was dumbfounded. The young lady actually ate a meatball with her hands. She bit into the fresh, steaming meatball. Its rich bean flavor and fried aroma filled her mouth. Vivian sucked in a breath from the heat, but it was truly delicious. We were already standing close, and Vivian was right in front of me. After finishing the meatball, Vivian stepped back a little. Catching me staring at her blankly from the corner of her eye, she turned and asked, "What is it?" The face in front of me suddenly turned toward me. I jumped again. Luckily, my feet didn't slip when I stepped back this time. But there was a wall behind me, and my back hit it. "Nothing. Are the meatballs good?" "Not bad. If you don't need anything, you should go out. The kitchen's too smoky. The meatballs are already done. Meatball soup is easier to make, so it should be ready soon. Go on. I'll call you when it's ready." I finally managed to finish making the meatball soup. But all the happiness I had felt earlier was completely gone. Vivian could clearly tell that I was feeling a little down. I ladled her a bowl loaded with ingredients, while mine was mostly broth. "Didn't you fry a lot of meatballs? Why didn't you make more? Is that still not enough for you?" I looked at her bowl. It was filled to the brim. It should have been enough for her usual appetite. Could she be extra hungry today? She held out a slender finger and pointed at my bowl. "There are some in your bowl. I've smelled too much cooking oil. I don't feel like eating." I'd never admit that I weighed myself before dinner. I was 2 pounds heavier than I was a few days ago. Vivian didn't say anything else. But while I was eating, I kept absent-mindedly staring at her bowl. My eyes were full of longing to eat some. Then she remembered how I always weighed myself before meals. She suddenly understood what was going on. "You ate too many snacks today." It wasn't a question, it was a statement. It felt like someone had stabbed me in the heart. I didn't. Vivian didn't say anything. She just glanced at me. Fine, I did eat some snacks. But it was only a bowl of jelly, a box of cookies, a small bag of popcorn, and half a bag of chips. Though, now that I say it, that does sound like a lot. But all those snacks together don't even weigh 2 pounds. Snacks are full of additives. You should eat less of them. If you want to eat some, go out and get it. I'll figure out the money." I never expected Vivian to say something like that. The little bit of anger I felt vanished in an instant. She still had that calm expression, but her concern just now was sincere. Miss Vivian really wasn't a bad person. She was only giving me advice out of kindness. "I understand. I'll try not to eat snacks from now on." Vivian didn't say anything else. I quietly finished my meal and washed the dishes. Then, I went back to my daily writing. But this time, Vivian didn't ignore me. Instead, she came out of the bedroom and sat beside me. "I already talked to those girls today. They won't treat you the way they did today anymore. Their misunderstanding about you has been cleared up. If they come over again, you won't have to avoid them anymore." "You mean those close friends of yours?" Vivian nodded. "It's fine. Whether they misunderstand me or not doesn't matter. They're your friends, not mine. I don't mind. Besides, it's normal that they don't like me. I'm really not the kind of person they'd approve of. As long as we stay out of each other's way from now on, it'll be fine. When they come to see you, it'll be easier for you to talk if I'm not around. And I really do have something to take care of today." "Okay. Are you still going to write novels?" "Yeah. Are you done watching your movie?" "I'm almost done. I'll finish it when I have time. If you don't want me to know, you can get some headphones." I quietly pulled back the hand I was about to use to grab my cup and gave a stiff smile. "Why would I care if you know? Do you think you're so great just because you're well-read?" She didn't answer me. Instead, she picked up my cup and handed it to me. "If you want to write a good novel, just watching movies isn't enough. You have to analyze them. I don't mind being interrupted. Actually, you can watch whatever you want." "Okay. Got it." Vivian got up and went back to her bedroom. After taking a sip of water, I set my cup back down without restarting the movie. I kept watching. Out of nowhere, I started feeling sleepy. Over the next few days, Vivian was still busy, leaving early and coming home late every day. Their daily routine became little more than having breakfast and dinner together. During the day, they each went about their own business. That day, Vivian came home early in the afternoon. I was typing away at the time. When I heard the door open, I didn't even look up. Out of habit, I said, "You're back." A familiar child's voice came from the doorway. The surprise and disdain in his voice were completely undisguised. "Why is he here? You two aren't divorced yet? You two aren't divorced yet?" It was Vivian's cousin's child speaking. Vivian's cousin and his wife died in an accident. They had been the people closest to Vivian while they were alive. After they died, Vivian adopted their child. The young master's name was Felix. He was 8 years old and had always looked down on Vivian's ex-husband. It wasn't exactly that Felix had a problem with him. It was just that her ex-husband had never liked children much. Ever since Felix came into his life, he had never once smiled at him. That alone would have been bad enough. Once, Felix was home on break and starving. The cook was out sick, and Felix was making a fuss because he wanted something to eat. Her ex-husband was busy meeting up with his so-called buddies and wasn't paying attention, so he ordered Felix an extremely spicy meal that he couldn't eat. Felix got sick for days after eating it. Because of that, Vivian cut back a lot on her ex-husband's spending money. After that, they disliked each other even more. But after I transmigrated here, I actually liked kids. But Felix probably didn't like what I had just said. His attitude was already crystal clear. We're not divorced, so it's perfectly normal for him to be here. And from now on, you'll be living with him too. He controls your food allowance. What? Auntie, you're not joking, are you? Earlier, he made it clear to Vivian that he didn't like me. Vivian never objected. As long as it wasn't too over the top, she wouldn't get involved at all. Why was this time different? Auntie, what they said isn't true, is it? Did you really go bankrupt and lose all your money? Is that why you have no choice but to put up with this man? I stayed quiet, curious to see what Vivian would say. Vivian calmly tapped Felix on the forehead with her finger. Even kids need to watch what they say. Don't think you can say whatever you want just because you're a child. I did go bankrupt, and I have no money, so you don't get a choice. Felix's mouth fell open. He stared wide-eyed for 3 seconds, then shook his head hard. No way. My dad used to say, you were the most amazing person, Auntie. How could the most amazing person go bankrupt? And your business was huge. How could it all just disappear overnight? Oh no, I'm not even grown up yet. How am I supposed to make money and support the family? I'm just a baby. Am I really supposed to take on the burden of supporting the family? But what can I do? I'm only in 3rd grade. How about you make me a child model, Auntie? I've learned how to walk the runway, anyway. I'm handsome too. Someone should want me, right? Me? No way. Because you don't have any connections. How do you think all those kids who aren't even cute become models? They don't just look at your appearance. They look at your family background too. Don't believe me? You don't have that family background anymore. Auntie, you're lying. You must know lots of people. You've helped so many people before. Have them help you. Then, remember this. It's easy to help someone when they're doing well, but hard to help them when they're down. When you help someone, don't expect them to help you someday. You're lucky if they don't kick you while you're down. Vivian followed him into the bathroom. Her voice came from inside the bathroom. What are we going to do? Are we going to have to live here from now on? Will we never get to eat delicious food again? Or wear pretty clothes? The kids at school told me I might have to transfer schools soon. Is that true? That's right. From now on, you'll stay here with me during school breaks. I'm afraid the food you used to eat and the clothes you used to wear are gone. As for transferring schools, do you want to transfer? Yeah, my classmates have all been making fun of me. They think I don't know. But I heard all of it. But you won't be transferring. I already paid for another semester of tuition. Vivian brought Felix into the living room, and they sat down on the couch. I'd been pretending to write, but I couldn't keep ignoring them. I quietly took out some oranges and set them on the table in front of Felix and Vivian. We don't have any other fruit, so just make do with these for now. But they keep saying, I hate it, but when you're not strong enough, it's normal for people to talk about you, or even make fun of you. But even when you're successful someday, and hold a high position, people will still talk about you, and make fun of you. It'll be even worse than it is now. If you're strong enough, they'll avoid you and won't say it to your face. You haven't greeted him yet. As she spoke, she peeled an orange for Felix. As Felix reached for the orange, she slightly tilted her head toward me. Felix turned to look at me. After hearing Vivian, he turned back to look at her. I opened my mouth, then stopped. After hesitating for a moment, I still asked Vivian, so what exactly should he call me? How about he calls me Rainier? Okay, Rainier. Are you on break? Are you on break? What do you want to eat? I'll make it for you. You can cook? And why didn't you cook before? He looked so cute, but his question was surprisingly sharp. We had a chef before. You make it sound so real, like it's something amazing. Rice is no problem. I'll just stir-fry a few dishes to go with it. Still, this time was a little different. I put more thought into cooking than usual. I made the rice and dishes as kid-friendly as possible. I've always liked kids. I used to play with my friends' little kids from time to time. I liked Felix the moment I saw him. The little young master was just too adorable. If things hadn't been so tense between the two of them, I probably would have run over and hugged him already. Vivian took Felix into the house. After I finished cooking, I went to call them. Felix had already changed into pajamas when he came out. He obediently washed his hands and sat in the seat I prepared for him. He seemed surprised when he saw the food on the table. You made all of this? He pointed at the food on the table. The dishes were arranged into cute cartoon faces. Even the rice had a smiley face made from who knows what. Of course, only his meal was like that. Vivian and I had regular meals. His was specially made just for him. It's It's your first day back for vacation, and you're already getting VIP treatment. I'll get you some small utensils later. The big ones are hard for you to use. You don't have to make food like this just for me. I'm not a little kid anymore. I don't need to be babied like this. I eat regular food at school too. I'm already in 3rd grade. Even when you get to college, you'll still be a little kid to us. Besides, I decide what to make. All you get to decide is whether you eat it or not. If you don't eat it, I'll make your least favorite food next time. Besides, we're broke now anyway. If you don't eat, don't expect any allowance to buy snacks. You'll just have to go hungry. When someone does something nice for you, what are you supposed to say? Felix pursed his lips. Then he obediently said, "Thank you, Rainier." I couldn't help ruffling his hair. "You're welcome." He obviously likes it, but he insists on acting like he doesn't. Such a little tsundere. But he's cute when he's like that too. You don't need to make a separate meal for him from now on. Kids in the Bai family aren't that fussy about food. Felix nodded repeatedly, saying he was that kind of kid. He was that kind of kid, and protected his head at the same time. Whether a kid is fussy is one thing, whether adults want to spoil him is another. Could Felix really become spoiled from this much pampering? Would this really make him spoiled? Of course not. How could a little food make me spoiled? Then Felix will just have to put up with my sugar-coated attacks. I can't resist cute kids. Now that there's a kid at home, I can try making kids meals. Thanks for helping. You're welcome. Vivian watched the interaction between the two of them. She didn't say anything else about stopping me from making kids meals. The 3 of us started eating. While we ate, Felix ate much faster than I remembered. It was obvious he really liked today's meal. After dinner, I did the dishes as usual. Felix was even more surprised. "You actually do housework too. I guess you really are broke." What can I say? In life, great joy and great sorrow can come out of nowhere. So, study hard, or one day you won't have anything to eat either. I'm first in my grade. My school is one of the best in the country. I entered a competition this semester. My teacher said I could win first place. Oh, and first place comes with a huge cash prize. I think it's 50,000. Then we'll have money for food. Kids from rich families really have it good. It's a private school. Even the prizes for elementary school competitions are this high. I can enter more competitions. Rainier wouldn't let me enter before because he was worried it would affect my grades. But I should be able to enter now. If I enter 4 competitions, I might get 200,000. Then we'll have money for food. No, I don't have that much time. If I want to keep my grades up, I can probably only enter 3 competitions. That would only be 150,000. It's not even enough for food. 150,000 isn't even enough for food? Do you know how many people don't even make 10,000 a month? 150,000 is already a lot. 150,000 would only be enough to buy you 2 watches. Is that really a lot? How much did you spend on 1 meal of shark fin before? Other people make less than 10,000 a month. What does that have to do with us? Are we supposed to live like them? I never thought being broke could be this scary. It can turn someone who loves spending money into this. You actually think 150,000 is a lot. Rainier, how long have we even been broke? You have to adapt to the situation. When you have money, you can spend it however you want. When you don't have money, of course you need to be frugal. Even when you have money, you should still be frugal. Even if you really earn 150,000, you can't spend all of it on food. If our standard of living has gone down, then the food has to be less fancy too. But even if you eat my home-cooked meals every day, you won't become malnourished. Don't worry. That's really depressing. Vivian walked over with a glass of water and glanced at Felix. Time to do your homework. I'm going right now. After saying that, he turned his back to Vivian. He made a shushing gesture at me. Then he headed into Vivian's room. Where's he sleeping tonight? With you? Yeah, I'll look into renting a different place later. She had originally arranged for Felix to attend an event during his break. But he didn't want to go, so he had no choice but to come back. I considered bringing up what I'd said before about buying a house. How's the search going? I've sold more watches and clothes lately, so the down payment definitely won't be a problem. We'll keep looking. Since Felix will be staying here during his breaks, let's buy a 3-bedroom place. I'm getting royalties now, so I can help pay the mortgage. Don't worry about the money. I was worried you'd think we didn't have enough money and settle for a worse place, miss. With nothing left to say, they each went off to do their own thing. Having a child in the house suddenly made the place feel full of life. Especially since Felix wasn't a shy kid. Vivian was busy during the day, so Felix and I were the only ones at home. At first, we could each do our own thing. But eventually, it got too boring. When Felix occasionally came out to stretch his legs, he'd sometimes talk to me. After all, he was still a kid. Even though he was sensible, he couldn't hold back his impatience. After he realized I'd really changed and was treating him well, Felix wasn't as cold toward me as he was at first. Why don't you divorce my aunt? My aunt really is broke. I think it's strange too, but broke is broke. If you keep staying with her, she won't be able to give you as much money to spend as she used to. You said yourself that she used to give me a lot of money to spend. Shouldn't I be there for her now that she's going through a hard time? If I leave her now too, wouldn't that make me a bad man? Do you want me to leave your aunt and make her raise you alone? Then you'd be all alone, with no one to cook for you. That's not the point. I won't starve to death. I don't know what's really going on with you. But from what I can see now, you're not that bad. I used to really hate you. I thought all you did was yell at